Welcome to the Millennial Diner podcast. It's me, Jeff. I'm at the diner, and today, this is so sick. We have Crystal here. Hi, Crystal.
Hey, what's up?
Oh, Crystal, you're gonna love this diner. I just know it. Phil is also here. Phil, say hi.
Hello again, guys. I'm here.
Phil, I'm glad you're here. Maurice is in the kitchen again, so that means the food's gonna be extra good today. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah.
Maurice is in the kitchen.
So I'm just gonna tell Flo my order. I'm just gonna make it a very simple diner day. I'm gonna do a tofu scramble, single vegan pancake, black coffee. Let's throw some oat milk in there. Why not?
Why not?
Yeah.
I'm actually more confused about the single pancake. One pancake?
Yeah. Got it like shark
Like
stack, right?
dessert. It's like a little dessert after your main entree.
Yeah. I'm getting the salty with the tofu and scramble and everything. Crystal, what are you gonna have?
I've been really into eggs Benedict recently, so I think I'm gonna grab one of those. It looks like they have some vegetarian sausage on there, so I'm gonna sub that for that roast ham they normally put on. And for sure, hot coffee with some oat milk probably as well.
All right.
Another with the oat milk. Here comes the oat milk. Watch out.
Creamier, you know?
It's the best.
So I have been told numerous times. I think I'm gonna venture a little bit and get rye toast with butter and black coffee. That sounds good. Let's do that.
Wow.
Very simple.
That's
simple.
Simple kind of man. That's what I am.
Predictable man.
Predictable is much better. That is much more accurate. Yeah. Because if I keep saying simple man, then I'm gonna sound like I'm like Leonard Skinner song, and I'd rather not.
This is really exciting. Crystal, you are a yoga master. Is that the right word for like a Jedi master? I don't know.
Definitely not a Jedi master or a yoga master, but I am a yoga teacher.
Okay. I mean, in my mind, you're a master, so, But I'm a yoga Padawan.
Maybe. Brand new or like newer people, maybe, but not those yoga Instagram influencers out there that can like stand on one hand or anything like that.
Well, I'm impressed. I mean, not to make this a yoga podcast, but I'm about to, Phil, so buckle up.
I'm ready.
I still can't do, what is it, the crow, where you like...
Crow pose, Bakasana, standing on the hard.
I know. I'm really impressed when I look around and like see people just like doing it, and I'm like, how is this happening?
Gotta like figure out that like correct positioning, and it's like way easier than you think. It's kind of one of those poses where you just kind of like whip out of your pocket once you like get that right like position.
That makes sense.
I'm happy if I could get child pose right. I mean, I'm ecstatic at that point.
Y'all, my dad, I taught him one yoga class. He quit right after the first pose, and it was child's pose. And that's when I realized, child's pose is not easy for everyone.
No, definitely not. I mean, you get your legs up there. Also, not to, make this a blue comedic podcast, but, I feel like you're most likely to fart in child's pose.
Yeah. Child's pose, there's a few different poses. And it's okay to fart. Let it out,
Yeah.
It's a human bodily function. It's fine.
Well, I think that's important. I'm glad you said that. I want the people at home who have been nervous to go to yoga because they're afraid of farting in a yoga class, and to let them know it's okay.
Get into the tree pose or warrior and just let one go. I say, you know what? Why not?
There's so many different types of yoga, right? I teach alternative, goth and emo yoga. There's laughter yoga. There is rage yoga where you just say the F-bomb over and over again.
Oh, Phil, you'd like that.
That's my kind of yoga. I'm all over that one. Is it you just walk around yelling, or do you actually do poses too?
You do poses, but every once in a while, it's whenever something angry comes up, or you want to say F this person, or you're a dick, or you can just scream out whatever, and you don't have to say the person's name or the situation, but you can just say it out loud. Then everyone in the room has to say this, has to repeat it.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
This is something I can get behind. This one. This is something I think I can get behind. Absolutely.
My favorite pose is Savasana. Really into that part of it. It's because you earn it. I feel like it's the most rewarding rest you can have.
And there's teachers out there that only put people in it for like 2 minutes after like a real hard class. And I'm like, are you joking? Like, I need to be in it for at least like, I need to be laying down for 10 minutes, but like, I need 5 minutes of quiet. Like, lead me in, give me a body scan, give me some breath work, and let me like just lay there and like pretend I'm dead.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah. That's all I want. Pretend I'm dead. Pretend I'm dead for 5 minutes a day. Really, it really makes me appreciate life.
Are we busting out was that L7? Is that who sang that song? Pretend that you're dead? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
How did you get into yoga? Like, how did you? You obviously, like, I think you're a master. You're saying you're just a teacher. I'm telling the people out there you're a master.
It's
so
actually a very emo way that I got into yoga.
Oh, perfect.
I was like super, super shy in high school, or like my entire life, really. For the first like half of the year of high school, I had like a best friend, so at least had someone to like cling on with when I like went to high school, which I went to private school, so like you kind of go away from everyone. Like, you're not just like being shipped from middle school to high school that's nearby. It's like you kind of choose a place to go. And she had moved to Canary Islands, and I was like alone, so I was like, 45 minutes of lunch, like, what the heck do I do? And I would like eat my lunch really fast, and there was this Filipino lady, Miss J, and she would lead meditations at the end of lunch. So I'd like eat my lunch really fast, and then I'd escape away so that I could like hide away from everyone and just like be alone.
That's awesome. And that's kind of like the first step into it. So wanting to be away from everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. And then like my aunt moved in with my mom and she was really into yoga, and she comes to my yoga virtual classes like pretty frequently now. And that's it's sick. Super cute because she brought me to my first hot yoga class, and I was like obsessed with it. And of course, like I went in because I was like, I want to get like fit and like be like, I was rowing, and I was like, oh, this is going to keep me in shape. But then eventually, more things trickle in, and you're like, oh, like I'm not as crazy and emo anymore. Like I feel calm, like things feel better, like things start to like fall into place. Not like completely, right? It doesn't like cure everything. But
no, that's awesome. And where'd you grow up? Where was high school and all that?
DC. So
DC,
right outside DC. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Which is kind of like the whole like my whole music thing is like my whole like kind of way into music definitely is surrounded around DC a little bit. Like music that heard there.
Well, it's got such
before I was born.
Oh yeah, well it's like the thing. It's like it's the history of the DC hardcore scene alone is like, it's like, some would say that emo started in DC.
Yeah, 1000%. Emo core, like the Revolutionary Summer. Like I like if I could like live in one area, I feel like I just did this at work. They were like, what is one period of time that you would like to live in? And everyone is like a huge history nerd, so they'd like say all these different times. And I was like, DC 85 when Gray Matter and Rites of Spring were around, and all of that. That's good.
I was gonna say 85, 87, 80, DC area would be a hotbed to go over. That would be a good time to go. Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah, it would.
So okay, so you're in DC, you're in high school, you're avoiding people by meditating and getting into yoga. How does music enter? Like, and what are some of the first bands that kind of like make you go like, this is mine?
Yeah. So in DC we had this like radio HFS, and they were like, I think the best radio station that ever occurred. They no longer are around, but they played like everything. So like they had The Cure, they had Depeche Mode, but they also had like Good Charlotte and like Blink-182, and they just like really had like all like Nirvana and like the grunge stuff. So it was like literally like every little pocket of alternative they had. And I really, like, when I was, like, in middle school, like, I, like, really didn't know that there was, like, different genres. I was like, I just like rock, you know?
Yeah.
And that really, like, opened up my world when I started listening to that station. So, like, that's definitely how I, like, started listening to, like, music. And then I would say I got into emo. I went to Jesus camp. So I went to Jesus camp my entire life. And I met this person who was on my, like, in my like volunteer group, and we'd like volunteer together, and they would play like emo music while we're like eating our lunch and stuff. And I was like, this is really cool. And that's kind of like how I got into going to shows. I'd never really been to like a show before. Like I've only been to concert venues or whatnot. So yeah, Jesus.
Yeah. And you go to a when you go, the difference of going to a concert to a show, like I know for me, the first time I went to like a small club show, I think actually that was NXPX actually. I went to like a show like that. Yeah, and like I remember like I was like, oh, this is home. This is where I'm supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And for a long time, I didn't like going to big.
Like when you first like are like, oh, like there's people my age, like it only costs like whatever, $15, $20 versus like having to ask your parent for like $50 or something, you know, like being able to pay for it yourself or whatever. Like for sure, that's when you like feel like, oh, this is like these are my people.
So if you were to, I don't know, if you were to go over to Mount Rushmore, get rid of all the presidents, and put up 4 bands or artists for you, who would you put on that Mount Rushmore?
This is literally the hardest question in the entire world, and I'm pretty sure everyone that comes on here probably says the same exact thing.
They sure do.
Sure.
A lot of angry letters were sent to Phil over it.
Yeah, right?
It's all right.
Probably.
Bring them on.
Let me think. Okay, so first one for sure would be The Cure, because that would also be my desert island band. I think if there's one band I could listen to for the rest of my life, it would be The Cure.
Mm-hmm.
So you would take their entire catalog with you to the deserted island?
Yeah, I mean, there's just like such a vast amount of music and like so different from one another. Like their first album is like a little punky, and then there's a lot of gothy albums, and there's like poppy albums. Like it's like the full like
you get everything.
Get everything. It's like literally everything that you've ever would want. So definitely for sure The Cure, number 1. Number 2, I would say Rites of Spring. Being from DC, that band I feel like got me from being like in like, not that I stopped being into emo, but it kind of like brought me into the punk scene, and like that's kind of like where I like became a person, I feel like. I don't know, did you guys ever see that website like in 2000 that was like, what the heck is emo anyways?
I think
it was like the history of emo.
Yes, I did that one.
Okay, yeah,
it was like a really shitty like, you know, homemade website, some probably teenager made, but then I remember reading it and I was like, I don't know any of these bands, but they're like from where I live. So I like looked up every single like emo core band from like DC, and I was like, this is it.
You know, you just reminded me, around that time, there was that website. There was also like a video game you could play as different musicians in emo, and like it was like a fighting game. So you could be Chris Carrabba, and you could fight. I was gonna say, what's his name from Fugazi?
Ian MacKay.
Ian MacKay. Like
yeah,
you could like, and they looked like really bad graphics of them, but like I'm not sure if this is a fever dream I had once or this is real. Yeah. I'm going to have to research to see if it was real after this, because it just popped in my head when you said that.
I mean, that probably was real. I mean, I would definitely say though that Chris would definitely win over Ian. Ian is like very passive. When I like grew up in DC, he'd always come to shows with like a baby wrapped around him.
Oh, really?
Like, yeah, his like baby like wrap thing would match his hat that he would always wear, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, this guy, he's soft.
I imagine everyone does this when they visit DC, but did you ever go to the Discord house and like get your picture in the front of it?
It's crazy that I haven't, because I grew up there.
Yeah,
and I love Discord, and you know, I just haven't. I don't know why I haven't. I should probably do that when I go home next time.
Yeah, there you go. You got a game plan.
Yeah.
All right, so we got Cure, Rites of Spring. Who's next?
Ooh, okay.
Love Rites to Spring, by the way. Just love Rites to Spring. Let's just bring right in. Okay.
That's an album we're gonna have to do at some point. For sure.
And
Jill, did you ever play that game, the fight game? Is that real?
I did not, and I've been waiting on it because I looked it up. So let's finish off your thing, and then we'll come back to this.
Number 3.
Okay.
Number 3. Saves the Day.
There you go.
Oh yeah.
Just everything so good. I mean, Chris Conley. I remember seeing Warped Tour, pink hair, and I was like, this is the person that I will marry. But obviously I did not.
Right. At the time, that was
time.
Yeah.
At the time, yeah. And I don't know, just all of the whiny music. It was just like everything I needed when I was growing up. And like it was kind of like still like a little cross of like, yeah, it's like emo and it's like pop punk, but like almost a little bit like on the punker side, I think, than like other emo bands I was listening to. So it was like kind of my another step from emo to like the punk scene and things like that.
Yeah, especially their first album, Can't Slow Down, which I always feel like is them. They were still trying to be a little bit more melodic hardcore band.
Yeah, more of a hardcore band. Yeah.
What's your favorite Save the Day record off the top of your head?
Through Being Cool, probably.
Yeah.
I think. I don't know.
For me, it's that or Stay What You Are. I guess it depends on the.
Stay What You Are.
Yeah.
So I go the other way. I go Through Being Cool, and then I go Can't Slow Down.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I like them better when they're a little faster. I get it. Yeah, that's just where I'm at.
I understand. Hey, it's okay. Some of us are more sensitive than you, Phil. That's all.
As we've learned, I'm a candidate for what was it, rage yoga? Yeah, so that seems to be where I'm gonna live. That's
all right.
Jeff, if you need me, Jeff, I'll be doing rage yoga in the.
I know you are. I know and Crystal, you're in Boston right now. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. So Phil's in New Hampshire, so you'll probably hear his screams.
Yep. I bellow. It's coming. So we have Cure writes the spring and saves the day. Who's coming at the end?
Oh, this one's so freaking hard. I'm gonna have to say like these bands are just gonna be like different genres so that I can just kind of be like all the presidents are different, right? Wait, that's what Mount Rushmore is, right? President.
That's right. Yep.
Yeah. All the presidents are different, so all these bands are gonna be different, and then I'm gonna like go real sideways into Defiance, Ohio.
Oh, nice.
Punk. You know, folk punk was like a big part of my life, and just veganism, vegetarianism, and like environmentalism, and just all of that. So I think that would be my fourth.
Yeah. That's awesome. And bringing in the whole folk punk thing, because I think today we're going to be talking about an album by Bright Eyes called Lifted, where the story is in the soil, keep your ear to the ground.
Longest title ever.
Sure is. It's like for most of my life I've called it Lifted, but gearing up for this podcast, I'm like, I want to make sure I'm saying the entire title every time. So Phil, hold me accountable to that every time I have to say it.
I'll do my very best to make sure. Jeff, you have to say the whole title, sir. That's what you have
every single time. I think you can go with Lifted.
I know. I'm just, I'm a purist. But we'll soon get into this album and we'll go deep into it. But I think a lot about all the music that inspired this album. And I think folk punk, I don't know if anybody would ever call Bright Eyes punk, but like to me, there's something about the rawness of it that is an extension of that. And then I think about like Conor Oberst, the lead main person of Bright Eyes. Like he has that band Desperados, which was a little bit more punky. So like I feel like that was kind of like all the DNA of it. But before we dive into that record, Phil, you did some on-the-fly research on our emo fighting game.
I did. This is an actual thing.
Okay, I didn't dream it. Great.
No, you didn't dream it. From what I can tell, it was called Emo Game, which was very original. It comes out of a man or a person named Jason Oda, who was an art student at the Rhode Island School of Design, and he worked on Macromedia Flash. This is what they wrote in Wikipedia. So from the player, as a series of figureheads from emo and indie rock bands, fight through levels of enemies with bad taste in music. For example, Chris Carrabba and Conor Oberst. The player throws vinyl record projectiles at fans of Dave Matthews Band and members of Creed on the way to rescue the Get Up Kids from Aerosmith Steven Tyler. That is a real. That was not a fever dream, Jeff. That was a real thing.
I'm so happy that existed. Does it still exist? Can I get it on PlayStation 5?
I have no idea, but now I'm gonna see if I can find it.
Someone's like rebooted it or something somewhere. I mean, with TikTok, I feel like emails coming back like full throttle.
Oh yeah. Well, now
old emails coming back.
Yeah, everything's coming back. But like now, I want this because I want look, I want to be able to like tag team my group. I want Gerard Way and Trent Reznor on my team, and just like,
Ooh.
yeah, just let's
That
go.
was gonna possibly be my fourth, like, Nine Inch Nails, but then I was like,
You could throw them on as a fifth if you want. I'm always happy to throw Nine Inch Nails on Mount Rushmores. Also, thank you. Once I did yoga to Nine Inch Nails, thanks to your class once. So
I think there's probably been no one else in the world that's ever done meditation and breath work to Nine Inch Nails before. So I am like very happy that I was able to provide that for people that appreciate it.
Well, it was a pretty great machine that day. Yeah, that's my joke. That's my joke of the day. Yeah, that's right.
Good.
I don't know if it's good. I should probably leave.
Jeff, I'm a little hurt by that one.
Yeah, I don't know why. That's not what I wanted to do.
I mean, my first like hit yoga class was called Pretty Hit Machine, so we're both on the same dad level of jokes.
Yeah, well, and Trent Reznor is known dad these days. That's his role. I think he's got like 5 kids apparently, and he's like super dad, and so yeah, way too many. But whatever makes him happy. He spent a long time being very unhappy, from what I got from his music. So if he's happy with 5 kids, good for him.
Good for him.
So today we're talking about Lifted, or The Story Is in the Soil, Keep Your Ear to the Ground by Bright Eyes. Came out in 2002. Did I get that right, Phil?
They did. Correct.
Sure did. August 13th. Recorded in Nebraska, home of the record label Saddle Creek. I was always fascinated by the Saddle Creek lore, because me and Phil are from Long Island, so we definitely had an emo scene that was like very apparent. We grew up as like Taking Back Sunday and Brand New and Movie Life and all the Sleeping, and all these bands were like popping off. But the Saddle Creek is like Omaha, and apparently in Omaha there was a very tight knit scene, and all the bands were on Saddle Creek, and like other big bands like Cursive came out of that scene. Rilo Kiley was in that scene, like a lot more of like the more indie, I would say, side of things, but a very tight scene that created so much. It must have been a very fertile ground and really cool, especially in the early days of going to those shows around there. So many talented musicians. Yeah.
And all these like touring bands that would come and like play with them would like stay at Connor's house and stuff. Like his parents were super chill. Like I can't even imagine like being in like Nebraska of all places, and, like into like a scene like that. Can't imagine that being a city kid myself. So
yeah, no, it's wild to think of. I've actually never been to Omaha, but like I want to go, and I want to like visit Saddle Creek, because I just feel like it's a really important landmark.
Yeah, I should do a retreat there, an emo retreat.
Oh my God, that's such a good idea.
I'm sure they'll let you do it. It'd be an interesting place to do yoga. I'm trying to think it'd be a fun name for, instead of Saddle Creek, we could like yoga it up to some other name.
And I'm sure there's like probably cool hiking around there and stuff like that.
Yeah, I actually don't know much about the topography of Nebraska at all. I figure it's a plain state, right? So it must be
flat.
Maybe like grasslands and prairie dogs. I love a good prairie dog. So
does corn count for topography? Does it, bring it up a little bit?
Well, it depends. Are you talking about the vegetable or the new metal band?
Only the new metal bands. So like, because only the new metal. And whenever I refer to corn, it is always with a K and a backward R.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It's the only corn that exists.
I don't have time for that other corn.
Nope, I'm not ready for any other time.
Do you remember when Korn put out Follow the Leader and became more of a pop band? They were popcorn. Oh my God, no, I'm out of here.
Whoa, what a dad joke. That's such a good one though.
This is
I'm gonna remember that one. That one's good. I like that one.
Yeah. Use that on
I think kids. I'm gonna remember that one too.
So this album is produced by Mike Mogis, who's recorded previous Bright Eyes records, Cursive Records, Good Life, Rilo Kiley, Jenny Lewis, all the crew in this place. It was followed up in 2005 when he decided to have Bright Eyes release 2 albums in one day. And in 2005, it was Digital Ash in a Digital Urn, which was a more, as you can imagine, a little more, I don't want to say techno, but like
it was more dancey. It was,
but it was like more electronica, I would say.
Yeah, all right, we'll go with that. Yeah.
And then he also released I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning, which was more acoustic as we're used to. But definitely between this album and that album, I definitely think he kind of like curtailed some of his wandering with his songwriting, and they're a little more traditional pop songs, I feel like, structurally on those albums.
They're tighter.
Yeah. Which is interesting.
Yeah, definitely more like mass appeal, I think.
Yeah. It was kind of like, I don't want to use the word sellout because it's not what it was, because it was just
definitely not. Like, I walked into my wedding to like one of the songs from I'm Wide Awake. So
which song?
The First Day of My Life.
Yeah, that's one I would do. That's good. No, I love that. And what's funny is I was thinking about that today, and I was thinking about when they both came out, and now I'm like frivolous. I'm like, I'll buy every record whenever, or I'll go to any show. But back then I'm like, oh man, 2 albums. I should really be responsible and only buy one Bright Eyes record. So I bought Wide Awake, It's Morning, and then later I finally got Digital Ash. But like, I'm like, if that happened today, I'd buy both in the same day. So I don't know.
Yeah. That was my introduction to Bright Eyes, actually, was Wide Awake. That was where I even picked it up. I believe I borrowed it from the library.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, because that's
the
socialist in me. The socialist in me is like, I'm gonna go borrow a CD from a library and go listen to it.
I'm impressed your library had it.
I was always amazed too that they had it. But yes, actually, this one, and where the heck was it? I don't remember. It might have been Dover, and it was. They had actually a pretty decent section for alternative music. You know, you'd be surprised what you find at the library. I'm a library kid. I grew up in a library. My whole family has worked at a library at some point. I've worked at a library, so it's just we're library people.
Love a library. Community center.
Community center, man. Yeah. Support, particularly now, you got to make sure you support libraries.
And then the album before this was Fevers and Mirrors, I believe. It was the one before.
I think that's right. Yeah.
I was almost gonna choose that for this album, and then I was
really?
like, there's some weird stuff. But then I was like, oh, there's also weird stuff here.
Oh yeah, there definitely is. I'm glad you picked this one because it's just a favorite album I had. It's funny. Also, the day I found out about this album was the same day my friend had burned a bunch of bands onto CDs and was like, "Here, I just burned all these. Check them out." And in the pile was like 5 or 6 bands. I don't remember most of them, but one was My Chemical Romance and one was Bright Eyes. And it was like the first My Chem album and this album. And I discovered those 2 bands in the same day. So very much
that is like the best day of your life? The first day of your life, will you say?
Yes, the first day of my life, yeah.
I like how we got to hear the end of that story, because we talked about the other half of that story, which is My Chem on the My Chem episode, and now we get the other half now. So it was nice, a bit of closure. I appreciate that.
Yeah, well, I feel like on the My Chem episode, I talked about the event, the seismic event when I finally saw the big picture, if you will, of my musical life, which My Chemical Romance would lead, and then the other side of that was also getting this one, and we'll go more into that there. But I did mention the title of the first song on this album. This album starts like no other album that I can think of. Though I think Fevers and Mirrors is a similar vibe in the beginning, if I remember correctly. It's kind of there's like some talking that's going on. But this one, first of all, so it opens up, and it doesn't open up with a song. It just sounds like 2 people getting in a car trying to go somewhere, right? And it's like a very like, fly on the wall look at just your every average. It's not. I think it's a cold day, snowy. They slip a little bit in the car while they're driving. Did you know that it was Jenny Lewis and what's his name? Blake from Lilo Kiley. I didn't know that either till I was like researching it recently. I'm like, what? Those are the 2 people talking.
That's really funny. No, I didn't know that. Huh.
Makes sense. I mean, they're like all like a little community. I wish I could be like a fly in the wall for like that.
Oh yeah, just see how it is. And then thinking about like Jenny Lewis, where she went, because like obviously has an amazing career on her own. Lilo Kiley had some of the amazing albums, and then of course she's in Postal Service, which is like connects her to Death Cab. It's just like it keeps going, yeah. But yeah, so yeah, Phil, what do you think about the opening of this song? Are you into this strange little drop into the car, and then they turn the radio on, and that's when the song starts.
I mean, I like kind of weird openings. I do. I have to admit that. I do like when we're kind of like there's like a. I don't use skit because that sounds like comedic because it's not. It's more of a drama scene has opened up. One thing I'll always give Bright Eyes or Connor or Bright Eyes, let's go with that, is like the sense of trying to bring on the large scale into like an audible sound. That's a very strange thing to say. Now that I realize that, but like he's trying to bring in a bunch of different things at once. I like the opening with the skit, the song. I move a little bit. I'm like, all right, I got you, I got it. I don't need 6 more minutes of this, but I got it. That's my biggest gripe with the whole album is I just feel most of the songs are just too long.
Yeah. Well,
most of the songs are too long, but this is definitely one that I think I would maybe sometimes skip just because like, you have to like press the fast forward button, you have to hold on to it to get to
right.
the music, and that was really annoying, like to me as a kid.
Oh yeah.
I know. I feel that. Like like, oh, I gotta hold this whole down for. And you're watching the seconds tick by as it goes by on the CD. Yeah. No, I know what you mean. What do you think, Jeff?
Well, there's an artistry, I think, to this record in itself, and I think that's part of it. He's not just writing songs; he's creating a whole experience.
That's so much better than what I was trying to say. Yes, that was much better.
Well,
I mean, yeah, he's like, it's like a theatric, like, he's really, he's something special.
I mean,
because you go.
Oh no, I was going to say. I mean, it's special, and like this idea of like being in the car with these people, we're just kind of eavesdropping on them, and that's the thing. You're kind of like getting your bearings. You press play, that like we all did on a CD probably once, and you're just like, oh, what's going on here? Like, who are these people? But you're kind of like with them, and what I love is the song starts to play, and then she says, "Shh, stop! Wait a minute, I like this song," and then your attention is forced to the song like theirs is.
Right. It's very big, but soft at the same time, and like which it fits with him, I think, as a writer, because I think deep down he's a poet.
Yeah.
And who like happens to put guitar chords to songs. Like I know it's kind of strange. It's like very like Bob Dylan-y way back when. Maybe he's the Bob Dylan of our generation. I don't know. But it's the way you said that was really good, and I actually like that. It's like she put such emphasis on the song because now like, oh, this song has to be good. If she's telling me to be quiet,
right,
listen to the song, because ultimately that's what she's telling me. She's telling me to be quiet. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll listen now. And then we get into the song.
Do you think like also like the conversation is kind of like these are the people that these songs are being written about?
I definitely think you have to think that just because you're kind of like that's the information you're getting, and then throughout the song there definitely are characters. You're wondering how much of that is about them,
because there are perspectives that are like different perspectives within like every song has like so many contradictory things sometimes.
Yep.
And also just like male and female switch back in like some of these songs where you're like, maybe that's what like the big picture is. It's like not like about Connor, maybe it's about these two people and this.
No, I think that's very true. And the other thing which I find interesting, I find it true throughout, and going back to like, are these the characters? I mean this as a compliment, and I think it could be taken not for Connor, but like sometimes these songs on this album almost have this feeling like he's figuring it out as he goes. Like it's almost like impromptu songwriting as he goes, and that's the effect it feels, and because it just kind of he's discovering it as he goes.
Did you know that him and Tim had a band? I don't know. It's like T7 11 11. I don't know. Couple of letters, couple of numbers. When they were like kids, when Connor was like 14 and Tim was like 17, and the whole rule was that they weren't allowed to think about the song before they created the song.
Oh, interesting.
And they're all supposed to be under a minute. Yeah, it's interesting. I heard a podcast with him like a long time ago. And it, like,
this is really Tim Kasher, right? Of Cursive.
Tim Kasher, yeah.
That's really cool. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, Phil, what do you think? Do you feel like there's a little bit of kind of like free versing going on here?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like half the time, well, it's particularly with this first song. So I can tell you this right now. This is our executive producer, my wife Megan, not a fan of this song, and not a fan, and she likened it. It's funny you said that because it kind of resonated with what she said. She said it reminded her a lot of like a high school kid at like a coffee house playing acoustic guitar, like doing his first show. It's just what kind of, it does the kind of vibe. And like now that you said that, I'm like, yeah, it does. Now that you said that, it seems like he's like figuring out in front of people, like, oh, okay, that seemed to resonate with people. I'll keep kind of talking about something like that. It's just, and maybe that's just because of the length of the song. Like a lot, I made a joke. They're long. They are long songs. Some are faster. Like he speeds up how he sings to get through the song a little faster. But there's a lot of lyrics, and I wonder if a lot of it is like free verse. It's just kind of going. I mean, some of the songs really rhyme, some don't. I think the next one is like a really like everything. It's almost a couplet the entire time. Um, but maybe that's the point of this particular. But it's just look at the big picture. Don't or maybe no. He even says the picture's far too big to look at, kid. Your eyes won't open. So like, pay attention to smaller details.
Which the song
Which
is making you do, because the other thing is the car never goes away. Like you're in the car listening to the song. It's not like the background goes away. You are sitting in the car with these characters listening to this song on the radio with them.
it's a bold choice to start an album this way, where it's basically you're right. It's like we're in the car with them the entire time. I also think it sets the stage for all the vignettes it's gonna do, like all the stories it
Yeah.
does, and all the characters and all. It definitely sets the stage for all that. I don't exactly know what's going on in the whole song. I think that's kind of a thing with Connor's work is like I think I get half of it, and I get it's a lot of tortured soul stuff. I get like half of it, and then I'm like, Jeff, you want to help me out with some of this because I'm kind of lost.
No, yeah. I mean, so go ahead, Crystal.
I was like, I feel like you could be lost because I feel like this song and a couple of other songs, they're so contradictory where it's like, you feel like he's like telling you like the world is great at sometimes and other times like there's like so you can try to live in darkness but you'll never shake the light, but then there's like, so that's like, oh, that kind of sounds uplifting, right?
Yeah.
And then there's other times where it just like gets dark where like I don't remember, if it makes you happy kneeling, you can go ahead and do that, right? Like just like weird stuff where I feel like he's very back and forth. I feel like it's easy to get lost in the song.
Or like he'll make a what sound like a positive, but kind of do kind of like a negative cynical spin on it, like Cohen with what you just said. So you can try to live in darkness, but you'll never shake the light. No, it will greet you every morning and make you more aware with its absence at night. I mean, like oh, greet with the oh, that's kind of like the dark version of like they kind of go against each other, working not in tandem but in parallel. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, all of that it's all there. And what's interesting is it sounds like a song where the narrator is trying to impart some wisdom on a younger person, right?
Right.
Like kind of like
Yep.
telling them like advice, right, about how life's gonna go. You can't hide from your love, you're gonna have to awaken soon, and the world's gonna show you so much. So beware of like booze and cloudy mind, and beware of religion and praying. You got to lift the veil and see what's really about, right? There's all these things that are to come and try to like, I don't know, stop you from seeing the big picture.
Not to like take it back to like yoga stuff, but it's
no, please.
I feel like like the veil's been lifted. Like I feel like he's like, oh, like the veil's been lifted, and you're like with clarity, and then like he's like, I've witnessed like all these wonders, and I searched everywhere across the country for them, but now I think I'm going to be returning home. It's like there's this like yogic deer story where there's this deer where it's like searching for the smell, not knowing that the smell is like coming from itself. And it's like, oh, you can search the whole world and you'll see all these wonders, but like you'll be happy when you're just, I don't know, it's like a
when you're just at home. I mean, really,
when you're just at home and you're just content and you're just like okay with being with where you are.
Well, and let me ask you this, because the song, well, lyrically, not sonically or sound wise, but it ends with "I'm headed home." Do you think the rest of the stories are, because it's got such a, because we're like in the car the whole time? Do you think from that point forward, all the rest of the songs are about being in home, like his home, and like these are the stories of the people that are in this home?
I feel like not like going home physically going home, but like going home as like there's so many other songs that are about like other things that are like being yourself. So like coming home as in like being in a space where you're like okay with where you're at, like being grounded.
Well, I like that too. And maybe we should also take a step back and look at the title of this album.
I was just going to talk about that. Go ahead. You go
Yeah,
first.
it's called Lifted, or The Story Is in the Soil, Keep Your Ear to the Ground. I mean, a lot of words there, but like lifted is interesting because that means up, you're being picked up. But they're saying the story is in the soil, so keep your ear to the ground. So the contradiction is already in the title.
Right. It's like, it's out of the gate. The title of the album is a contradiction. And I feel like this whole album has just contradictions throughout, and like a lot of I'm sure of something. No, I'm not sure of it, and like yeah, it's just so right out of the gate. And this is the first song, and it has lifted in it.
Yeah.
Because the veil's been lifted. But
well, I think Crystal, what you said was really interesting too, because you're like coming home, coming to the South, figuring out who you are, kind of thing.
like that.
Which is really interesting because contradictory wise, the second song is called Method Acting. And it's pretty much the opposite of being yourself, right? It's like the performance that you put on.
But when you look into it, when you go to that second, are we going to the second one now?
Yeah, let's go in. Let's go to Method Acting.
Let's go to Method Acting. All right. How do we feel about Method Acting? As see, it's funny. I feel like half this album, I said half, and that even backs up what I'm about to say, is like you got to work one song against the other, the next one.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's how you get the most out of these songs, is because I feel like this is kind of like the literal opposite. You're like you just said, Jeff, the literal opposite of the previous song. Like they work such in contradiction to each other, where you're being more to yourself, and then Crystal, you said the same thing. You're more yourself in the last song, and then now you just this is false advertising, my friends. Where this is, I am not what I am advertising myself to be. Yet the word lifted appears again.
Yeah.
But this time, Oh, go ahead.
No, it's like, it's interesting. First of all, the song to me, there's a lot of references to actually being in the band, like self-referential. Like we're actually recording these songs, and like it's funny whenever there's parts in this that remind me of a Cursive song that will happen later, which is like Art Is Hard. Where they had his part where he's like, so Michael, please keep the tape rolling, boys keep strumming those guitars, we need a record of our failures, yes, we must document our love. Like this is what they have to do, and this is the pain that they have to kind of go through to record this thing that they love, and the misery they have to go through to get there.
That's the method acting part.
Right.
Like you got to just immerse yourself in misery to kind of get there to fully appreciate the song. I guess, and all the, not just that, all the effort that goes into it.
Right. Also, there's also positive stuff in this song too.
Yeah.
Right. Like, because I don't know what tomorrow brings. It's alive with such possibilities. Like, I feel better when I sing. Like, that's like a positive thing. So it's not all like negative, being fake kind of method acting stuff, I feel.
No, there's a function to the method acting, right? It's getting him somewhere, but it is something he has to do to kind of exist. Like, I'm sorry, there's a line here that was like, like to shed this skin, be born again, starts with an ending. This method acting, well, I call that living.
Yeah. I finished it for you. It's like a fountain, doors open, we have a problem, no solution, but to love and to be loved.
Yeah.
That's a theme that kind of keeps coming back up in this album too.
Right, the last song.
Yeah. It's in there. And that always makes me think of Raymond Carver because I go back to the Late Fragment by Raymond Carver.
Well, he also mentions Cathedral in this album, and
But
I thought of it too. Yeah.
yeah, I just thought about that. No, yeah, because he says it's the yeah, it is the last song. No, you're right.
Yeah.
It's to love and be loved, and like that's Raymond Late Fragment for everybody. It mentioned something along that line. It's love and to be loved. And it's the best thing it could be. And he caught that late in life. So it's great that Connor's caught it so early in life because Raymond caught it so late in life. It was like one of the last things he wrote before he died. Super sad now. I'm just sad. I also like later on. What I like about this song, it's actually deeper than you think. Which spoiler alert, it's pretty much any one of his songs.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
all of them. Every time you read it, you're like, oh yeah, that means So it's like, yes, so I've made peace with the fallen leaves. I see their same fate in my own body. Like these
Yep.
fallen leaves on the ground, like that's eventually will happen to me, but I won't be frightened when I'm awoken from this dream of life, I guess, and then return to that which gave birth to me. Like so, he's seeing a connection between the fallen. It's kind of realistically morbid, I guess, that he sees the connection between the dead leaves on the ground, and that's where we're going to end up. But like, he's kind of okay with that, and I won't be frightened anymore by that concept. And it's much more grown up than you think, and I appreciate that because he's gotten farther at a much younger age than I ever did. Because I would look at that and be like, man, that's going to be me, and that's terrifying. But he's like, no, I'm okay with it. It's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I think we go like going back to like the big picture, like he's like, and the story goes like so like after that like goes back to what gave birth to him, and then he like like the world keeps turning. Like I think he knows like, the big picture is like, oh, like what I'm here to do is just like me being here, and then I return from what I've come, and the world keeps turning.
Yeah, and like the song actually like builds that outro where it goes on and on and on and on. That's the feeling you're left with, like whether you're acting or not through life, like life is happening, it's going. Are you gonna like be a part of it, or are you gonna like you have your choice of what to do? It's happening. The leaves are gonna fall eventually. So what are you gonna do with your time?
Yeah.
And you might as well enjoy it if you can. I mean,
I also I'll say like coming off the first song, which obviously is theatrical in its presentation, I feel like this song to me is like for me the first song on the album.
It's
like
the start of the album.
This is where it's like, and it's a great for that reason. It's a great way to start. I think it's one of my favorite songs on the album for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
With that in mind, I'd like to listen to it right now.
Let's go ahead and do that.
All right, here is Method Acting by Bright Eyes from the album Lifted, or the story is in the soil, keep your ear to the ground. False Advertising is the third track on this record. How do we feel about false advertising?
One of my favorites.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of being a teenager. Obviously, probably because I was a teenager. I was listening to it. What do y'all think about it?
I mean, I love that it's a waltz. Like, I was not expecting a waltz at this point of this listening experience, and it just comes in, and it's like,
let's just do it's a punk rock waltz. Why not?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
Well, it's he teeters on a waltz a couple other times too, and I was like, well, it's so much so that I would listen to it. I'm like, wait, is this a waltz? And then I would start counting to myself. I'd be like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then Megan would come in and she'd be like, that's not it. Like one of the songs. I was like, this is a waltz, and she's like, this isn't a waltz. And I listen to it again. I'm like, oh yeah, you're right. It's
this
close.
is a waltz. This is close to a waltz.
This is a closer waltz. No, this is a waltz. I think this is a waltz. I think it is. Either that or just embracing the one of the other songs does it too. The very country song to it. But like the old timey country that I'm okay with.
Little twangy.
My Johnny Cash shirt. I mean, I went with Johnny Cash today, so I'm okay with older country music. I always think this song is about, I don't know, you're being remembered for your mistakes, about becoming more popular. Like I had that kind of vibe with this song. I don't know. And then he's kind of like really getting on himself
Mm-hmm.
Like he's false advertising, you know? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Well, I think coming off like the idea of a method actor is a person who fully assumes the role. They're not just like checking in and out of the part. Like you have to fully do it. False
Yeah.
advertising is part of that in a sense because, he says he's a puppet on a string, like trying to
Yeah.
make it seem like he has these feelings to share. And this goes even more into like, again, like that cursive art is hard song where it's like you got to like put this rehearsed sorrow on stage so people will pity you and give you their money, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. I can get behind that. Yeah.
As if like he isn't just this person, period, which is like interesting because there's no way that with all of his discography that he's not this person that like is a sad sorrow that would like to just be on stage singing his sad sorrows. I don't know.
Yeah, it's funny because he's like, I have to do this. I'm not really like this, but it's like, the evidence suggests the counter, sir.
Yeah.
It says that you are because he says, yeah, and even though he says, I know what must change. Fuck my face, fuck my name. They're brief and false advertisement. For soul I don't have, and something true I have lacked. Like it's really kind of coming down on himself, like big time.
Yeah, it's very hard on himself.
Or maybe he just realizes that he is, he just realizes that he's not these like small, like they're brief, right? So he like knows that like his name, his face isn't like who he really is. So I feel like maybe he's like false advertising and method acting because like society asks you to like have your name, have your face, like do these different things, like you're like, on a string, and like society's always telling you to like go to work and do blah blah blah, and he knows that like all that stuff like ain't real, like fuck that stuff, like they're all like just very small minute parts of who he really is, maybe.
So, okay, so meaning like that, because that's typically what like who you are. You identify with your name and what you look like. So following that through, like he doesn't even have a soul because he's a puppet, right? And I think
That's
that's
the part I don't get, but
well, I think that's kind of what he's kind of getting at, is that like like who you are, like you were just saying it, Crystal, who you are really on the inside is who you are. That's who
right.
you are. You're not what you've been given as a name, and you're not what you were as you were, I don't know, born or whatever. You are what you feel, and that's what your soul says. I think kind of like think that's what he's getting at,
There's
or
also kind of
it's imposter syndrome, or it's one of the two. I don't know.
I
there's
have
also
like
sorry.
another idea. Oh, go ahead,
Yeah.
Jen.
No, no. Real quick, I was gonna say like it's interesting too because I don't have a soul, but as he keeps going, he's been doing this thing, and in the doing, he's found something, right? Like even though it might feel like it's false advertising on some level, at some point it becomes who you are. And he says, he's like, I found in a song and the people I love that they lift me up out of darkness.
Right.
So like
That's
even
right.
if this is not true to my essence, I'm sure this is also like just like it's in the doing, it's in the experience, and that has entered a world where he's met people and found love and stuff through other people because of the songs he's writing.
I feel like that's another like yogic thing, or more of like a Buddhist thing, right? Where like, oh, like I'm not my face, I'm not my name, right? It's detaching. And those are all like false advertisements because that's not who I am. And also Buddhists don't believe in a soul either. So maybe this is something where he's like tapped into some of those ideas without knowing. But yeah, like you said, like right now, like he has like in the song and in the people he loves, like they lift them out of darkness because that's like in the present moment, and that's not him being attached to his name or being attached to his space or being attached to him being a puppet on the string, like performing for people. Like his job title and its importance and his famousness is not what's important. What's important is being in the present moment with like the people that you love, and those are the things that take you out of the darkness.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. I like that.
Is there anything that you can connect this to yoga in this song?
I mean, that's kind of yoga right there. It's just like a Buddhist idea of like not connecting to those like really brief things like your face and your name and you being on stage and things of that nature, and like detachment from those things, because they are false advertising, because you're something different, right? And then like settling down into the present moment is more important.
And that's how the song kind of ends with. It's like, I'm inviting everyone in. We're going to laugh. We're going to get drink until the morning comes. That's what we're going to do. Come on, come on. It's like, everyone, let's just be here.
It reminds me of like when I was in high school, me and my best friend came up with this like philosophy, which is basically just ripping off of Buddhism a little bit, but it was called Negatively Positive, which was a rip off of Positively Positive, which is like a good, clean, fun song. But nonetheless, it was like, oh, like everything is shitty, like, you know, whatever, sway until you start to make you sick, or, you know, there's a lot of like sorrow, well rehearsed, and all these like different things are like sad. But then like, whatever, we're just gonna drink till the morning comes, come laugh, you know, be positive, just do it anyway, even though things are not great.
Well, you said this is one of your favorite songs, right?
Yeah.
I think we should play it. Here is the third song on Lifted, or The Stories in the Soil Keep Your Ear to the Ground. False Advertising. Track 4 is You Will, period. You, question mark, will, period. You, question mark, will, period. You, question mark, will, period. How does that go, Phil?
Can we just you will. You will. You will. You will. Is this a conversation with them? Like, let's talk about this title for a hot second. Is it a conversation with himself? Is he like trying to pep himself up to be like, you are gonna do this, and you're like, me? Like you, me? Yes, you will. And then because like you look like you're like looking at a mirror, and then your mirror's talking back to you. What do we think about this title? Let's just start there.
Confused by the title, because I'm confused by the punctuation of the title, because I feel like when he sings it, it doesn't sound like that punctuation. It's like
not at all. Yeah,
not at all.
Right? It doesn't go correctly with the title.
He's false advertising. That's what he is. What, but Jeff, what do you think? Just the title. Let's just go with the title for now.
Well, it's kind of like, yeah, I think it's, whether it's a conversation with himself or what I think it is, the song itself, it feels like it's a conversation with somebody they're in a relationship with.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it's like the conversation's coming to this, like coming to a head, like you will is like you'll come back, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I set you free is eventually where the song goes. So I think maybe the title is kind of like this, like coming to the realization that you can even say that to someone, you can let them go, maybe.
All right, I get behind that. That works. A lot of literary stuff going on in this one.
Oh yeah,
a lot of books.
I didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
what books are in this?
Well, just book in general. That like the allegory of it's one of the first things. I'll treat you like a book on a shelf. It's a relationship that I don't know. They're just gonna kind of put on a shelf for safekeeping because you appreciate it. I mean, you only keep. Well, I talked about libraries earlier, right? So like you go and you take a library out from the book or from the book. Good job, Phil. Take a library out. Nope, other way. Take a book out from the library, read it, and then return it. You don't go put it on your shelf. Put the book on your shelf. That's something you appreciate and you want to reread. So there's a relationship he wants to keep going. I don't know.
But like, well, you say that I treat you like a book on a shelf.
Right. Well, you say that. Yeah.
You say
right.
I treat you like a book on a shelf, and that seems bad. Like you just put me on the shelf, and I don't take you out often because I already read you. I know you front and back. Don't need to read you anymore. And but you're here, and that's why it must be miserable to stay here and feel like that. But like, I feel like the narrator's rebuttal to that is like, yeah, but I love that book. That's why it's on the shelf. That's why it's always here.
That's why I don't throw it out. That's why I don't return it. It's forever.
Yeah, I don't want to get rid of it. I'm keeping it. There's a reason why you're on the shelf. I keep the books up there because I enjoy them. I want to reread them from time to time. Perhaps they have sprayed edge. Nice edge. That's a new thing right now for the books. A sprayed edge.
Sprayed edge.
Sprayed edge. They're becoming big. Thanks to what is it? Fourth Wing? Yeah, Fourth Wing. That's like with dragons on the side. That's pretty cool, actually. I got to look it
Whoa.
up. Yeah, it's pretty neat. Good luck finding a copy though. Never gonna
Okay.
get one.
Okay. I won't bother.
Too late.
Then.
Yeah. If you can, well, but if you see one, I would grab it. That's what I'm just saying.
Okay.
A sprayed edge, like it's like
spray like a sprayed edge, like it's painted on the side. It's like
edge.
yes, it's pretty cool. It's that one's pretty neat. It's got like literally like dragon shapes to it. It's pretty neat. Sorry, I gotta think. We're getting into a lot of libraries and books in this episode.
Okay, it's emo, sprayed edge, straight edge.
Sprayed edge. Yes, yeah.
Straight edge. Oh. Well, I'm gonna put some dragon X's on my hands. That
sounds cool.
I don't know what that looks like, but it sounds cool.
I think it's X with dragon scales. I think that's what it is.
Oh, I like that. That sounds cool. I might get behind that. I'm not a straight edge person, so I can't put those.
You could be a sprayed edge person.
I could be a sprayed edge person. Now Ian's gonna from Minor Threat and Fugazi's gonna come after me because now I'm talking about straight edge people. Not in a bad way though. No, actually.
Yeah, I don't think you're saying anything bad.
Much respect.
No, I appreciate what they do. I can never do what they do. I appreciate that. Maybe that's more the point. Then I should probably follow it. Anyway, I think the whole point of this song gets summed up in the last stanza, the last section of it. I think that's kind of like the gist of it. Because if you don't, then this book's all lies. If you don't, then my plans will all be ruined. If you don't, I'll start drinking. See, not straight edge. I'll start drinking like the way I drank before, and I just won't have a future anymore. Like I think that's kind of the meat of the song is that last stanza. Also the way he sings it.
Oh yeah, no, that's the thing. This song kind of builds this like.
It's like this. It's not a crescendo, but it kind of is. But yeah, it builds.
And the mic he uses is very different on this song too. It felt like way like more. I don't know the technical term for it, but like old timey, echoey.
Yeah.
Oh, I can see that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Knowing him, it was probably like some old vintagey microphone he found and would like put it back together. But do you think that again there's a sense of just being hard on yourself? Like I feel like he does that. He's like very self-loathing throughout this album. And
I feel like that's just like the whole emo thing is like being self-loathing.
Yeah.
I love this song because I just feel like it's both depressing, from the woman point of view in this song, it's like depressing and like oddly inspirational. Where you're like, well, it's depressing that you treat me like a book on the shelf, but like you go out and explore other women, but you'll still come back to me because like you put me on your shelf, like you need me. Like I don't know.
No, I think that's true. I think that's true, and like what I think that person is going through a discovery themselves of their own like confidence about it, right?
Yeah.
Like their first like, I don't like you do this, so why don't you go out, meet other women, go on the road, do your thing. But you know what? You're gonna come back, and that's where we get to. Like, she's like, you will, and then she says, because if you don't, then that book is bullshit.
See, now I can get why that title's in there, really, because looking at it from their perspective, she's like pointing at him. I shouldn't say she. It could be.
Yeah,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't
matter. The person is pointing to the narrator and was like, you will. See a little slight difference in it? Now she's like, you will. And it like that's and that's now I get it. It's much more that's what he means. And it's kind of hard to sing is there a way to sing like a question? Because a question you have to like go up on the last syllable. And like is there a way to kind of sing like that?
Do you want me to try? I mean,
yeah, I do actually. Can you
can you give me a note?
Yeah, it's gonna be the one from My Chemical Romance. Ding.
Me? I'm just kidding.
G note. When I was a young boy, was I a young boy? I don't know. Never mind. This isn't a My Chemical Romance.
Like that?
I was not prepared for that.
No.
Folks at home who are listening to this, I tried to have some water and I nearly spat it all out watching Jeff do that one.
Well, we can't assure you won't get wet on this podcast.
No, it's the beauty of this podcast.
It could be like a Disney, like, where they like spray you while you're in like the virtual reality.
Exactly. It's like, oh wait, I actually feel water. This
That's secretly Phil, just like throwing droplets of water onto you while you listen to the show.
Well, sometimes getting wet is like wetting your whistle and drinking too much and doing things that are just not good for your soul, and you find yourself with a lover you don't have to love, which is track 5, Lover I Don't
Track
Have to
5.
Love. I imagine the amount of mixed CDs this song ended up on is uncountable.
Uncountable. This is his most played song.
Oh yeah.
So says setlist.fm. Most played
But it's
song.
not the most popular one on Spotify, I don't think.
No, because I think that's your wedding song, right?
Yeah. Probably. I feel like it is something off of that album for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But I think this song, I mean,
escalates quickly.
Oh yeah. Well, it really, like, we've gone through quite a journey already, of song structures and like changing sounds, and then you come into this song and like the shadow self is present. We are there is this is not a cheery love song by any means.
But people still use it as like a love song. You know, in a very tragic way.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, you dig it. I mean, first of all, it kind of has this like trip hop sound to it a little bit more than like a westerny sound, which is like really interesting. I feel like I can hear Digital Ash and Digital Urn in this song, like what he's going to do in the next one of the next albums a lot. Like he's really going to lean into this. So I think that's really cool, just for music wise, what they're going to do. But yeah, this song is like, I mean, look, it just comes right out. And like, I picked you out of a crowd and talked to you, said I liked your shoes. You said, thanks, can I follow you? So it's upstairs and out of view, no prying eyes. I poured some wine, I asked your name, you asked the time. So we're painting a picture of a scene here.
Right.
Yeah. Escalated quickly with two people who don't really care about each other. No interest in one another.
Earlier, when you were talking about a different song, you were like, the word book over and over again. And like when you said like, or you were talking about like books being in this song, I thought you meant there's like literary like references, like in this song, ask your name, you ask the time, catcher in your eye.
Yep.
So
I'll add in The Sun Also Rises, because later in the song it says about you write such pretty words, and it always makes me think of the end of the book.
Yeah.
Like, isn't it pretty to think so? It's the same kind of it's the same concept there at the end of the book and over here too, I love when we get literary. It's the best. It's the best. I also love the way he says here in this song, because it's like full on saves the day. Tom DeLonge coming right out there. The here.
Here, where are you?
Raising his hand. Here.
All right, so he's picked somebody out of the crowd. So I'm taking the narrator is in a band, possibly the lead singer, possibly named Connor. Who knows?
Who knows?
Can't be sure. Maybe. Yeah. Pick someone out of the crowd, like their shoes. They're into it. They go upstairs out of view. And then we get to the next verse, and now it's 2:00.
Mm-hmm.
We all know what happens as clubs close at 2 a.m. and they've been drinking wine. Nothing good.
Nothing
good after 2. No.
The club is closed. We're up the block. Your hands on me. I'm pressing hard against your jeans. Your tongue in my mouth. How he says that.
Yeah.
Trying to keep the words from coming out. I mean, yeah, we see where this is going.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's a sexy song. I feel like this podcast has to be like explicit, like
it's a very sexy song, it's a messy,
even
sexy
though
song.
It's like dark.
Yeah.
Yes, it's messy.
Messy, sexy.
That's a vibe, I think, just by itself.
You know what makes it dark and sexy as well? This song was on Queer as Folk. It's not on like the actual soundtrack, but it was on an episode where there's like a sexiness about like a dude having a gun and the other dude's like, it's so sexy.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. So there's like
cool.
that darkness to it too, from my own memory, where I'm like, oh, that's like dark. And then the song is dark, but like still sexy at the same time.
Yeah, because it gets to the toward the end, where like, do you like to hurt? I do. He's so excited about it. Like, I do. And then like basically hurt me. It's okay.
Well, also
Escalates
it's
quick.
well, it escalates, and also unlike some of the other songs in this album so far, we actually have proper choruses.
Yes,
That
this is
actually
like
come in.
this is like a pop song, and it's the sexy dark pop song.
I mean, this chorus, again, I'm sure this has also been AOL Instant Messenger away messages, many AIM away messages at some point. I want to love her. I don't want to have to love. I want a girl who's too sad to give a fuck. I mean,
Where's the kids with the chemicals? I mean,
yeah, where's the drug dealer? She's too sad to give a fuck. Like, geez, man, this is like bleak. Yeah, this is not.
Yeah,
this is not positive stuff here.
you're doing a great job picking them out of the crowd.
Yeah. You said it feels
probably not that hard when they're at his concert. So
right.
No, I always imagine it's just this crowd of enthusiasts around Connor all the time, and he's just, I don't know, looking at it like, yes, you were all mine. in like, because you love how much I write lyrics. I guess because it's lyrics. He's like the tortured guy, right? That everybody wants to go and like give a hug to and be like, we'll make it better. It'll be better.
Well,
we all want to fix them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We gotta fix Connor. Oh God, gotta fix Connor. And then we kind of yada 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 past the sex. That's my Seinfeld reference of the day. And then and then my mind went dark. We both forgot where your car was parked. So like we kind of jump over everything. We get past that, and now he's like, I'll just meet up the band in the morning. Then the next verse is the one that was interesting to me, even more interesting, because here's where he's like, bad actors with bad habits, some sad singers, they just play tragic. Is that him saying that there are bad actors out there who are doing what I'm doing but faking it? Like, I'm actually a sad singer. I'm not just playing tragic. Or is it him talking about himself?
And
maybe he's coming back to himself, like method acting. He's a bad method actor. He has bad habits. We all know he has bad habits.
Yeah.
That's what I wrote down. Literally, those are my notes. Is like, because he's a fake. They're both fakes. I mean, because I think even the person he gets with is a fake.
Yeah.
And that they're both bad actors, and he's acknowledging that. So I think this actually connects exactly with both method acting and false advertising. Like, I feel like that's a direct connection. Well, not a direct, because it's thematically a connection back to it, and it's a realization, an acknowledgement of more of what it is, which is again a very Connery thing to do. That there's so much back and forth.
So the chorus changes a little bit on the second time.
Yeah, we get a little different.
We're the kids with the chemicals. I got a hunger and I can't seem to get full. All right, so he's got, whether that's the addiction, something's happening. Is it an addiction to sex? Is it an addiction to drugs? Is it an addiction to everything? Like, again, just not feeling his present moment. He's really escaping using different ways. I need some meaning I can memorize that kind of always seem to slip my mind. So he's the narrator's aimless, right? They're not in a great space, which is part of why this is happening.
And I also think I think that's kind of a telling line. I need some meaning I can memorize.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always was kind of like, so you can like make a song out of it and like make something out of that, and so that a crowd would follow you even more. I don't know. It's like kind of like taking someone else's experience and meaning and making something of your own out of it that maybe you're pilfering from them.
I was kind of thinking like, you need some meaning I can memorize. It's like, I wish I could just be like everyone else and just like find God, like coming back to the first song where he's like, y'all can kneel, but I'm fine standing. I think it's like him being like, I wish I had this thing that I could just like memorize and hold on to. But like, I can't.
Yeah.
I get that feeling so much. Like, I wish I could just like, I don't know, blindly go through life and be like, yeah, there's
believe and just
and just like toss it to the wind and be like, yeah, no, there's reasons for that.
It certainly takes responsibility off of you, doesn't it?
It certainly does, and I am more of a fan of taking on responsibility and actually acknowledging such things as reality. What it seems so easy and lovely and pretty. Connect back to the song. It seems very pretty to think.
Right.
Yeah. Well, and then the song, this final verse, it really like gets soft and emotional and heartbreak. Like the heartbreak kind of comes, like not just heartbreak. I just the pain comes out a little bit more, where it's like, but you write such pretty words, but life's no storybook. And then this is the line of all lines: love's an excuse to get hurt. Like, all right, Connor, emo Hall of Fame with that one.
Emo Hall of Fame at that point. Well, because that's
Do
going
not
back to
think
like,
he's emo.
what was that? It was in Method Acting, right? He talked about pain. Like, like it's the same kind of thought. You have like, I don't know, to feel something, to feel anything, you gotta love it. I don't know. And then, or to feel, I don't know. He's hard to get sometimes. Like all over the place with him.
The end of this song though, just like when the way he delivers these lines, like listen to hurt and to hurt. Do you like to hurt? I do. Then hurt me, and then the song just like
it goes it's so good.
Yeah. This song is an emotional roller coaster.
It is sexy emotional roller coaster.
I think we got to play it. How can we
saying,
not?
Do you guys want to play this one? Yeah.
I mean, we can't not. Do you want Connor Oberst to come to your house and yell at you?
Only if it's done in a sexy way.
Well, it definitely will be. He's very sexy.
Well, it will.
Yeah.
All right. Then yes,
all right.
I'm fine with that.
From the Bright Eyes album, Lifted, or The Story Is in the Soil, Keep Your Ear to the Ground, here is Lover I Don't Have to Love. The next song is called Bowl of Oranges.
The second most song on so says setlist.com.
Oh,
he plays. Yeah. I kind of like this song. I have to.
Kinda. This is a good one.
It's a good one. No, it's a good one. I like this growth through pain. I like the because a bowl of oranges. What do you think about when you think about a bowl of oranges?
Still life painting.
Still life painting, right? Exactly. And like, I like that there is this. I don't know. Art is pain, kind of. Well, that sounds so nihilistic to say that out loud, but like there's an art is pain kind of vibe to it that that there's growth through that pain, and to set it all up, that I don't know, which is a theme we just got from the last one about being hurt, right? And kind of love is pain, art is pain. I don't know. What do you think, Jeff?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the other thing too about a painting is it's a moment frozen in time. Like the feeling is just kind of like, it can look happy, it can look sad. It doesn't have to be that forever. It's just, but the painting is just, it's one moment.
I like that a lot.
I like that as well. Like when I think of bowl of oranges, I don't know, they make me think of happiness, right? And like he's telling the story, and it's like a still painting, or like our lives are still lives posed like a bowl of oranges. It's like, oh, here's like us being happy, but the song kind of goes back and forth, and where he's like, there's a doctor that's sick, or there's a girl that's sad. Honestly, this song just makes me want to be his friend, because he seems like a really good friend.
Yeah, it does seem like he has a ability to empathize with somebody and really help them through something here.
Yeah.
Because I think this song is a hopeful song.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely is like kind of uplifting. Like, your eyes must do some raining if you're ever gonna grow. Like that, like coming back to yoga, that's like very much like you have to like feel the pain, like tantric yoga specifically. Like you have to feel the pain of real life to actually like grow from it, right? You have to like be with where you are to like get to where you're going.
Yeah, that's so cool. And like, and if the crying doesn't help, you got to compose a poem.
Compose a poem.
An honest verse of longing, or a simple song of hope. Like he's like saying, like you have to like make art. You
got to do something. Well, you got to. It's also, I think, just me personally, I also think it's that you got to feel to make art. Right? I mean, that's what the crying thing is. Like you got to. Who was it? It was Carlos Santana talked about every now and again, like you just have to have a good cry and just get it out, And I was like, all right, I can kind of get behind that, but like, you got to feel to create the art. And then I go to
I
the
mean,
end of the.
any Great Eyes
God.
album is the albums that like all of the albums are like things that I put on to cry. So preparing for this, I cried a lot. So thank you.
Well, I'm glad it was a healthy cry, but that's what he's saying, right? Like, I
Right.
mean, and that's the therapy of listening to the songs like this. I mean, yeah, clearly he's mining pain to write a lot of these songs, but I'm sure that's therapeutic for him, and then it's therapeutic for us to listen and share that and get it out. And like that's why we like sad songs.
Yeah.
I think you're right, Jeff. Though there's a hopefulness to it because of the song itself. Because we'll keep working on the problem. We know we'll never solve.
Mm-hmm.
So, which could be the definition of insanity if you really think about it. But we'll never solve of love's uneven remainders. Our lives are fractions of the whole. But if the world could remain within a frame like a painting on the wall, there's a painting on the wall. Then I think we'd see the beauty. Then we'd stand back staring in awe. I like that.
Coming back to the big picture, right?
Yeah.
Right. I think that's the big picture. You're right. And just take a minute and look at the big picture, not just at the tiny details that we get. Like you can't. What's the phrase? You can't see the forest through the trees, kind of thing. Like take a step back and just look at the big picture of it all. It reminds me of the Saves Day song. Which one? Geez, now I'm trying to remember which one it was. Off Through Being Cool. Jeff, we talked about it, and I can't remember what it is now.
Well.
Oh well.
Just gonna have to go listen to our podcast.
I'm gonna have to. I actually we might have even played it. I'm pretty sure we did.
Other interesting thing about this one is the last line is soil, and if you recall the title of this album,
which is what again?
Lifted, or the story is in the soil. Keep your ear to the ground.
Is this the first time we get soil as a word in one of the songs?
It's the first time I noticed it. It popped out at me.
I feel like it is. Yeah.
I think it is.
Yeah. Because like then it's like, okay, we'll keep working on the problem, never solve it. We see the beauty. We're looking at this like a bowl of oranges, like a story told by the fault lines and the soil. What do you think that last line is talking about?
By fault lines in the soil, I feel like he is talking about like the reality, like like the whole like theme of like lifted, or the story in the soil, keep your ear to the ground, is like, oh, like here's this pretty picture. This is a story being told, but like if you keep your ear to the ground, maybe you see that there's these fault lines.
Yeah.
Like, things aren't perfect.
And that's okay, I guess, right? Like,
yeah.
Well, I don't know if I'm just having a moment with the title because I've said it so many times. I mean, is it biblical? I mean, lifted is heaven. The ground is who you're listening. What do you want? Do you want to rise up to heaven, or do you want to put your ear down on the ground and see what Satan's got to say? I don't know. That's just a kind of like an interesting up and down.
I don't see it as like what Satan has to say. I see it as like being grounded in reality.
I like that better. I was just trying to make this more metal, but that's cool.
It's like to make Connor more metal. I try to get my words right with this one because like a story told by the fault lines and the soil, and I go, well, okay, the soil is malleable and is affected by fault lines. So like that's what I kept going back to. It's a story told by like the ground and like something grounded. I guess that is what we were just saying. But like the fault lines and the soil, that it's something. It's like you could tell a story about something just like maybe on someone's face, and you can see a look on their face, and you can see how weathered it is, and you can get a story out of that. Maybe that's where I'm going with this.
I like that. The other thing, thinking about, he wants this person to cry, let their tears down because that's make you feel better.
Mm-hmm.
If you let your tears fall to the soil, and water falls to the soil, what are you going to do? You're going to grow something new. So there is also that too, right?
Yeah.
And the fault lines, I mean, I hear fault lines. I live in Los Angeles. That's what I'm afraid of, all the time. An earthquake. So what is an earthquake? It's just like the earth adjusting, right?
Okay.
That's my earth science, 9th grade earth science summation. But it's like a change, right? it's going through a change.
Right.
Well, I like that. I like that a lot. That does make a lot of sense.
Deep. That's good.
Deep in the ground, deep in the soil.
Deep, all from a bowl of oranges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look, I might eat oranges from a bowl of oranges, but I always keep my ear on the ground while I do it. It's hard to peel it, but you figure it out.
How do you peel that? You got trying to get the visual of the idea of you on the ground trying to peel an orange.
I don't know. Have you ever met anybody who ate the peels of oranges?
Or what if you just peeled the orange, then put your ear to the ground, then eat your orange?
There you go. That's problem solving. That's what we like to have here.
No, we have to go back to that question. Do you know anybody who eats the orange? Like straight up just eats the orange?
Oh, look at the time, Phil. We got to move on to the next song.
Oh my gosh. All right. Yeah.
But
well,
if you are a person who enjoys eating, is it the rind, the orange? What is it called?
Yes. The rind of an orange. Yes.
The rind of the orange?
The peel of an orange.
The peel. Please confess in a letter to Phil. Just send it to New Hampshire. He'll get it.
Because I'm going to tell you this right now. If you are people who eat the peel of an orange off an orange, I don't know when a day, but a day is going to come where they're going to come after you for eating the peel like it's an apple. Like that just sounds horrible to eat.
I do mangoes like that. People think that's weird.
I think mangoes have like a skin that like is like biteable. Yeah. I can get down with mango skin. That's the title of my memoir. Getting down with mango skin. Did you know that?
Hold on, I got to come back from that one. Okay.
Did you know that tattoo artists, when they're learning, will actually learn by tattooing oranges?
I did actually know that, yes, because the skin of an orange is very similar to that of our skin. Yes,
yeah.
I did hear that.
We're all oranges. We're all just giant citrus fruits. That's what I don't know when, but a day is going to come when we stop talking about oranges, and I think it's now, which is great because the next song, track 7, don't know when, but a day is going to come.
This is the most Bob Dylan title there is. That's not Bob Dylan. Isn't there a song called "A Hard Rain's Gonna Come"? Yeah, it is. It's "A Hard Rain's Gonna Come." Yeah, this is when you don't know, but a day is gonna come.
Well, you did say Connor was the millennial Bob Dylan, so.
I did. It's.
I think he's a little older than a millennial, but.
Yeah, he's about there. He's close. I feel like he is probably older. He may not be a millennial, but his music was embraced by millennials, so I feel like that's part of the thing. Funny autobiographical story. I've never seen Bright Eyes in concert. I've seen Conor Oberst in concert. I've seen Desperados in concert. I've seen Better Oblivion Community Center, his band with Phoebe Bridgers, 3 times, including once in Dublin. So, that's wild.
Wild.
That's my favorite. When they were touring together, they would do the album, all the songs in the album, because there was only one album. One of the things they would do is Phoebe would play a Bright Eyes song, and then Connor would do a Phoebe song, but they would do it like in their style. So like if Phoebe sang Lua or something, it's like Phoebe doing it. But like he sang Funeral from her album, which is like a slow, sad song about a kid from her high school dying. And he turned it into a pop punk song, basically. So it was really cool.
Whoa. Is that like recorded on Spotify or anything?
It's not recorded. I think you could find it like on YouTube or something, or like someone has a video of it. But it's really awesome. Yeah. But yeah, I've yet to actually see Bright Eyes proper in concert after all these years.
I haven't either. I had like a very brief period of where I would go to like concerts, and then I was like anti-concerts until like pandemic. Basically, now I'm going to concerts again. Well, if it's not in the basement or in a like living room, I was like not going.
Yeah, you were
secret show underneath the bridge, you know.
It was shows on. I only went to my first stadium concert right after the pandemic. Probably the same thing. I think a lot of people went through this phase in the pandemic where like, oh no, am I ever going to go to a live band, see a live show again? So now I am going to see every live show possible because I'm afraid of a new pandemic coming and stopping me from seeing shows. But yeah, the first stadium show I saw was actually the Green Day, Fall Out Boy, Weezer at Dodger Stadium.
Ooh. Sounds epic.
It was pretty epic.
I've been to Dodger Stadium. I saw the Dodgers play the Diamondbacks many years ago.
Wow. Well, this is a Red Sox podcast, I thought, Bill.
Well, generally it is. Yes. No, we went because we wanted to see the great Nomar Garcia Parr when he was playing on the Dodgers, but
No
he was
ma.
actually Noma, but he was hurt. He was hurt that day, so we didn't get to see him.
All right.
Sports.
Sports.
My sport's crying. Crying is my cardio.
And also yoga.
And
also,
yoga.
yoga, right? Yeah.
Pilates.
Pilates too, yeah. Tune in to find out what happens when Jeff tries Pilates. Coming soon on TikTok, maybe. I don't know.
That sounds like a 5-part series. That sounds
Sure
great.
is.
I love it.
Don't know when, but a day is gonna come. This song is a mood.
It is. It is a song that builds the song. The sound of it is
Yeah.
It's a big song.
It really
it's a
is.
really big song.
A lot of things touched on religion, politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't. Yeah, this is not like for the faint of heart. I mean, there's existence of truth, existentialism, believing in God if it's foolish or not. It's just a slow, plodding, serious song, right?
That's a real good way of putting it. It's slow. It's plodding. It builds. It's I think a style he keeps to a lot of other songs. A slow burn kind of gets to the bigger part at the end. He does it again in the last song. The same kind of concept. It's a slow. I like slow burn. I'm gonna go with that.
But it gets light for like a second.
It's true. I mean, it definitely builds. I mean, that's the thing. It builds this catharsis, which is what I love about it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just some of the imagery that he uses here, it's just so like it's just stark and bleak. It's like, is it true? I heard about the Son of God. Did he come to save? Did he come at all? Like already questioning right from the start, right?
Right.
Right.
They say they don't know when, but the day is going to come where there won't be a moon and there won't be a sun. It'll just go black. It'll just go back to the way it was before. Like, oof, everything's going to end.
Everything's going to end. Nothing good. What year did this come out again? This was 2002.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a lot of
anti-Bush stuff.
Anti-Bush stuff. Yeah, a lot of anti-Bush stuff here. And you kind of get it in the third, fourth part, whereas now men with purple hearts carry silver guns, and they will kill a man for what his father's done. But what my father did, it don't mean shit. I'm not him. But I feel like we get into that because post 2001 we had a very sudden patriotic thing. We started fighting wars against ideologies versus countries, and that's where Bush was in. And I think this song and the last song they talks about Bush again, and it's very
the cowboy president. Yeah,
cowboy president, right? It's very anti Bush.
I see why I like this song so much.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, very much. So. I feel like I'd have a beer with with Bush, and then ask him about his art because he does a lot of paint. Yeah, he does a lot of painting now. He paints now. He's like a big time painter.
I'd ask about his war crimes.
Yeah, there's also that. I mean, there's that.
And then I wouldn't drink with him. I'd have him arrested.
If you want to go that way, sure. Yeah.
I'd rather have a beer with Connor.
Let's have beers with Connor. I feel like that's a lot better.
That's a lot better. I'd go with that.
Before the Purple Heart song, which I love that. Now with Purple Hearts carry silver guns. Oh, so good. But the verse before, I knew a lovely girl with such pretty pride. Every man wanted her. Yeah, and so did I. Yeah, and so did I. But she up and died in a fit of vanity. Oh,
I don't get that. So I was like, that paragraph, I'm like, I just don't get it. Like, what do you mean she died in a fit of vanity? Like,
I don't fully
the car and got in a car crash. Like, what do you mean?
It's funny, yeah. Like, was she like putting her makeup while she's driving or something like I don't know, checking herself out in the mirror, not paying attention. I don't know exactly what it means. I just love it. It's like that's a lot of bright eyes to me. Sometimes I'm like, I don't really know what you're saying, man, but it sounds really pretty and it makes me feel things.
I said that at the beginning of the show. I'm like, I don't fully understand half these songs, but you know what? I got a vibe out of them, and that's really all that matters. I don't know. I'm trying to think of how you would die in a fit of vanity. Like you did something so vain that you end up dying. And I'm just trying to imagine what that would possibly be. And you know what? I don't know. It's a metaphor. Let's do that.
Yeah. Or she got plastic surgery and died under the knife.
Oh.
I don't know. That's possible, right?
Or you live in LA, so that makes sense that you thought of that.
Right, yeah. You know, that's what we do here. We get our plastic surgery in the morning and then go about our day.
What was the other part I like? Oh, we got books again, but now I've read some books and have grown quite brave. If I could just speak up, I think I would say that there is no truth there, is only you and what you make the truth. Oh, that feels very timely nowadays, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Like what
That's very what?
Timely, very timely. The fact that you can now make up your truth and
Right.
I've heard people say, wow, Connor's talking about stuff 20 years ahead of anybody else. Because you hear that now. People are like, well, speak your truth. Well, that's an opinion if it's your truth. If you say it like that, I'm just saying.
So there's no subjective truth, right? It's only objective truth.
Objective truth. That's truth is objective, not subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
But all truth is manipulated by your experiences. So
right. Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah. Because we're all perceiving it through our instrument that is us and how we see it and remember it and talk about it. It's different.
Does the song kind of get positive? Like you're right. There's that part about the bar and all of them coming back together. And I guess that kind of harkens back to the first song about finding home. Although that was we took it more as a metaphor, like wherever you feel at home. But this could be the same thing, right? Going back, meeting up with your friends, having a beer.
Yeah. Enjoying the simple pleasures and being happy with like just going to your favorite bar and like sharing a drink and loving people. Yeah.
That's the big picture, right?
Yeah, big picture.
But
it's almost like the big picture is all the bad stuff, but like you have your own big picture within the big picture.
Well, it's funny because like by the end he kind of is falling apart because he's like, could you please start explaining it? Like he wants these answers. So it's like he's close. Like he has the love of the friends and like that's good, but then he still has these questions, right? He's still trying to figure it out. And the emotion of the song builds so much at that point that it becomes kind of like, I don't know. How do you feel like he is by the end though?
He just like needs to know. I
guess. It's like desperate, right?
Frantic. I was gonna say I like desperate too. It is because, well, the second to last part where he goes back to about, is it true what they say about the Son of God? Did he die for us? Did he die at all? And if I sold my soul for a bag of gold to you, which one of us is the foolish one? That's a great line, by the way.
Oh.
It's like, which one of us is the foolish one? It is, I guess, me selling my soul for gold, or you buying it?
Yeah. Interesting.
I never really caught that line like that. That's good.
It was a one line. It's my favorite line in the song where it makes you. It's such a paradoxical song, and again, it's a literary writing where things are working against each other. You have opposites again. I mean, it's a commonality throughout all the album. There's always something kind of working in opposition of another thing. And you see that even just how songs are sequenced together. But I think it really kind of shines in this last section. I think it's his best writing is in this little section here. I'll go with that hot take and say that. I think it's his best writing right there.
I think it's a good hot take. I also think we should play this one.
Yes, 100% yes.
All right, so here is Off Lifted or The Story is in the Soil, Keep Your Ear to the Ground by Bright Eyes. Don't know when, but a day is gonna come. All right, the next song is called Nothing Gets Crossed Out.
Not a thing. Nothing gets crossed out.
I love this song.
Me too.
What do you guys love about it?
I just feel like everyone can relate. Mm-hmm. Or at least anyone that's into emo probably can relate to this song and has felt these waves many a times in their lives. Right.
Yeah, to me, this is, if I was gonna be broad with it, it's like this is like the growing up song, right? Like this is like, without being like on the nose about growing up. It's like, it's just like the things you worry about the future, you know, like how is this going to work? Like, what do I have to do? Like, I don't know. It kind of hits all those, as you were saying, Crystal, perfectly. It's like all those things that emo songs kind of do, the best ones.
Mm-hmm.
It's very personal, and it's something we've all been through in some way.
I actually think I agree 100%. I just want to hear what you guys were thinking, because I feel like it's a song about like you kind of want nothing gets crossed out. I go to the title, like what does the title mean? And like everything kind of gets remembered.
Yeah.
Is always is what I always went back with this. Nothing's going to be forgotten. And I actually think this is the most personal song on the album, because he's not trying to overwhelm you with like wordplay. I think it's his writing is the most honest this
Mhm.
time. Like it's the most direct. It's the most. It's just it's honest and clear cut. It's very straightforward. It's not. I'm not trying to like preach too much. I'm not trying to give you fancy ways of saying things like the lyrics in the last song. I just love. I love all the lyrics, but this one is so much more straightforward, and I feel like that leads Cadence to being a much more personal song.
Well, yeah, because like I think if you just go through it, it's like the first part is like he's just I'm worried about the future. I got all these awful thoughts in my head.
Mm-hmm.
I wish someone would just kind of tell me where to go. Like I wish I could follow a leader. You know, he's feeling under the weight of a school. He feels like he's under the weight of a schoolboy crush. Um, Trying to like impress somebody by carrying her books and doing lots of drugs, and he forgot who he was. Then he came to his senses, and now he's trying to like make plans and make something happen, but it's not working yet. He's still just laying in bed and hiding under the covers. So he's like not ready yet, and he's like, I know I should be brave, but I'm just too afraid of all this change, which is like what life is, right? Like,
Yeah.
you have to kind of accept that life is always going to change. But also the personal part of it, I think, comes a lot where he's like, and it's too hard to focus through all this doubt. So I keep making these to-do lists, but nothing gets crossed out, which I don't know about you, but like it happens to me all the time. I start my day off, I'm like, I'm gonna get all this stuff done. And then at the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I didn't do any of that stuff. How'd that happen?
Sometimes I don't even think like that's not even like just for like the to-do list of that day. It's like your whole entire like you're
Right.
afraid of this and you can't focus because you have all this doubt because the to-do list never gets crossed out because you have like constantly to do shit for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then in the middle of that, he's talking about all this, recording this record. He says, like, you were getting his anxiety, right? Like, he's like, what's the point of even recording this? What if the world's end? No one's going to hear it anyway. You know?
Right. Like,
but he's
bleak.
Yeah. But then
I feel that way sometimes. We're like, what the fuck am I doing?
Yeah, what's the point of all this?
Yeah.
But then going back to his community, it's where he kind of gets some hope from. He starts talking about his buddy Tim of
Right.
Cursive and Good Life. In fact, I believe Blackout was the Good Life album that came out around the same time as this. So that's what he's kind of referencing in this song, where he says, yeah, right. Tim, I heard about your album. It's better than Good Life. When you get off tour, I think we should hang and black out together. Because I've been feeling sentimental for days gone by, those summers singing, drinking, laughing, waste our time, those basements where he made music and the songs he made. Like, it's like he's like feeling defeated and bleak about life. But then he's like, oh, but I got my friends and I can hang out and we can like have the old times again. So he's still kind of like constantly trying to like pull himself out of it.
Right. But that's like the whole thing with like a lot of parts of depression is like having that nostalgia, right? And like that's the only thing that makes you happy is like these old times. So he's like trying to get out of it, but like
yeah.
And it's just being nostalgic. So but also him finding home again, right? Like with Tim. You know,
exactly.
Remember all those songs and the way we used to smile in those basements made of music? Like that is just like, oh, the whole reason we're like interested in any kind of music is like that feeling, you know?
Yeah, that's what we're chasing. We're chasing that feeling of like, I mean, I don't know about how you guys feel. Like, I mean, that's how I feel when I listen to music. I can appreciate new music, but when I listen to music, I feel like I'm 15. Like, no matter what I'm listening to, like I just hit that core of me is like lit up. And that's what I'm chasing when I go to live shows or I listen to my favorite bands and things like that. I want that high that brings, which might be a little bit nostalgia, but that's what, or it's time travel. But I think that's the beauty of what music can do. It can just take you someplace and return you to an emotion, and that a positive emotion.
Even if it's fucking sad.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
It still gives you that like positive chemicals within your brain, you know.
You guys said it better than I ever could, so I'm not. I don't have much to add on that one. That's the truth of it. It was well done.
And then I think this one at the end, I think this little lesson that he kind of comes to is like, but if everything that happens is supposed to be and is predetermined, you can't change your destiny, then I guess I'll just keep moving. Someday, maybe I'll get to where I'm going. Like, the decision is just to keep doing it, right? Keep moving along.
Going. Right. Keep moving along. Yeah.
Got no other choice.
Yeah. Which is good. It's better than hiding under your covers. You know, he's actually just gonna like, oh, gotta keep going.
Which kind of like, there's that darkness line back in the first song. Again, you have to work everything together about the appreciating the light, and so I like, again, yeah, they're kind of the same thing.
I don't want to cross this one out from our playlist, so let's play Nothing Gets Crossed Out. Track 9 is called Make War.
Make war. With what? I don't know. Anybody else want to warn a guess?
Well, he's gonna make war with country music, is what I've discovered.
That's 100%.
Gonna make war with anyone who he's ever loved, I think.
Yeah, then yeah, we're gonna use country to take this fight to all my ex-lovers.
I think that totally checks out. I like that a lot.
The song takes a journey. Like, it feels like to me the narrator is like struggling to get over a failed relationship.
Yeah.
And then by the end they get there, but then they're like worrying about their ex-lover's new lover because they haven't changed like he has. Like, he goes through this like growth and he's like, oh no, but my ex didn't. Now that person's with somebody else and just gonna make that guy's or that woman's life miserable.
That's really succinct. Actually, I like that a lot. Yeah, no, that's really that. Yeah, it's like, it's kind of a straightforward song in that regard. But I always, with this one, I always go far down into it because I find a lot of his lines really go down toward the end.
Yeah.
And the one that always stuck out with me is because the truth is that gossip's as good as gospel in this town. Because who hasn't lived in a town like that? And then where you can save face, but you won't ever save your soul. Man, is that good writing?
Yeah.
That is such good writing. It basically how people perceive you is what you are. Is what you are. And that's where this is getting at. And that's exactly what that is. And that's even. But again, see, but going back again, this is why it's hard to work with this because it's conflicting. What you just said, Jeff, though, about how like the narrator's like, look, I've changed, kind of like I've changed a little bit, but the other people don't see it that way.
Yeah.
So even how we see ourselves is not how others will see us. It's all about perception.
Right. Going back to like the other line in the previous one, which is like, it's only your truth, right?
It's only your truth. That's right. I mean, and I feel like it's like you get a real good sense of small town living, even though I feel like Omaha is a bigger city than you think. But like that's a very small town thing where like God, whatever anybody says about you in a small town, that's gospel, man. That is what it's going to be. And you might be able to save your face. So you might be able to get out of the situation by saying the right things or all that, but you're never going to save your soul. A little piece of you dies. I'm going to take it that way. A little piece of you is sold off, your soul wise, to make that to save face.
Yeah, or like your spoiled heart, like you're in the inside, you're not great. Soul's not great.
Yeah, that's the spoil in your heart. That's it spoiled in your heart. I mean, so hurry up and run to the one that you love, this new lover, tie him up in your likeness, and he'll become the prisoner I was.
We've all felt like that about exes.
Yeah, it's like, good luck. That you see them with their new partner, you're like, good luck with that. Yeah.
There's a reason why I got out.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah. It's funny that he uses the word "spoiled" in a song where it's called "Make War" because I always think of the phrase "spoils of war."
Yeah.
And it's the wordplay again. He's very good at it. And using words to make certain thoughts and feelings and vibes appear.
Well, I would say if there's one thing about Conor Oberst's songwriting, if he's painting his lyrics, he never wastes the paint. It's never a waste of paint. There it is.
Never a waste of paint. Never a waste of paint.
Track 10, Waste of Paint.
Track 10, Waste of Paint.
Here we go.
One of my favorite titles. This is such a... Oh, go ahead. You go.
No, also one of my favorite songs. This to me is like quintessential Conor Oberst songwriting. This song.
1000%.
Yeah.
We got characters. We got it's just his wheelhouse. Him writing about characters, I think, is when he really like flies.
He's at his best. I agree. Yeah. I agree. I just love all the. To me, this is a song. Just basically about you have to own your choices.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and you see that in all the characters, those situations, all the vignettes that happen with all that. Particularly, I like my most favorite one is his brother who got drunk and drove, and which don't do, by the way. And this cop pulled him over, and he was like, "No, I'm a student of medicine. I'm a son of a banker. You don't understand. I'm someone of importance." And the cop's like, "I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
You did something very bad, and I'm going to arrest you now. It is terrible that you have done this." And I think that's ultimately, and even though he talks about your father's name, is known, your decisions now are yours alone. That's the whole point of the song, I think, is taking ownership. I said this earlier, but I'd rather take ownership for myself instead of being lifted away. I'd much rather be on the ground where I have responsibility for myself and ownership of myself.
Right. Even if that ownership is to debt and loss and shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I think it's like a bleak song about how, you can own your shit, but in the end, we're all just kind of going through a dark world. So that's Conor's world.
What are you going to say, Jeff?
Oh, I wasn't going to say anything. Pepper just started making noise, so I went to pet her. So a little behind the scenes of the podcast there. I guess Pepper doesn't like Waste of Paint, I guess.
Pepper doesn't like the song?
Well, she's wrong. Sorry, Pepper.
You are wrong. Sorry, Pepper. Once again, we bring in I have no faith, but it's all I want to be loved. Deep down, Connor just wants to be loved.
All he wants.
All he wants is to be loved and feel love. I love the guitar on this song.
Yes.
Right?
So good. Yeah.
So good. The guitar work on this is so good. But I feel there's such an inner turmoil here with him because he feels like he's done all this work. Painting, writing, and it's just a waste of paint. And did you guys catch how exasperated he sounds when he says a waste of time?
Yeah. The performance is like huge in this because it's like
right. And he says like waste of time, like that's the worst of it, was that he had spent time on it and it didn't matter.
Well, it's funny, yeah. The title is Waste of Paint, but he brings us to it's like not just waste of paint, we're wasting our time.
We're wasting our time. And that's like the worst of it. I feel that one a lot. I don't know why. The way with this, how tired he sounded, how exasperated he sounds when he says it.
Yeah, I feel like it comes back to like a lot of the other songs where it's just like he's wasting his time because he's just, not being himself, or like he's not sure who he really is, right? He's lost his sense of identity. And that's all a waste of time if you're not being yourself.
And he even says he's lost like faith, like he's lost his belief in himself, like too, like by the end. It's like, it's interesting that I guess what I really like is like how he starts with all these different characters who have all kind of like are struggling with something. And then he kind of brings it back to himself and how he kind of like just watches people and like he's not finding the answers he needs.
Very thrice, where you're looking for answers and you can't find it. That's very, very thrice.
I don't want to waste the paint, so why don't we play Waste of Paint?
Well, let's play Waste of Paint.
So next we'll listen to Waste of Paint off the album by Bright Eyes called Lifted, or The Story is in the Soil, Keep Your Ear to the Ground. Track 11 is called From a Balance Beam. I haven't thought about a balance beam in a really long time.
I actually have. My daughter's been doing some gymnastics, so
there you go.
So I have actually.
I vomited at my first gymnastics meet. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I never went back.
Wow.
I wouldn't have either. I would have been like, nope, I'm out. I don't like looking at my daughter on the balance beam. It makes me very nervous. I'm not a
How
fan.
high up is it?
It's a few feet off the ground. I was not thrilled.
Hmm.
My daughter's 9, so it's like, and she has never really done gymnastics before, and watching up there with her friends at like a party, I was like, I don't know if I'm down with this. But I'm gonna try not to throw up with anxiety. I did it. I was okay. I survived.
Not the same, but I totally get it when my husband runs up rocks and cliffs and stuff with my dog. I'm
Oh,
like, do
no,
that.
no,
Not
I
the
don't
thing.
want to do that. Not for me. Not for me.
The opening of this song visually, there's a man holding a megaphone. He must have been the voice of God. The bystanders claim they saw angels flying up and down the block, but they must have been attached to wires. I saw one laying in the lawn with a broken arm, so I called 911. Like, just dropping us off into this scene right away. It's like, wait, what?
Yes. What's going on in this one? Do you know? Like, what's the big story? I'm a little lost. I'm not gonna lie.
This is another one where I'm like, I'm just feeling the vibes here. Because, like, that alone, it's like people thought they saw angels, but they were like, it was a stunt, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the camera crews were there because of, like, what happened. And they washed away the rumors. It was just the concrete truth. It was a spectacle. No, I mean, a miracle. Like,
Right.
is it
Yeah.
kind of like him buying into the bullshit that people are spouting or trying to?
Mm-hmm. I'll take
Right.
that.
The
Yeah.
whole like I lifted one foot across the other and I felt myself slipping. It was a small mistake. Sometimes that's all it takes. It's like you could fall into that like ideology or like, you could fall into like believing that you saw angels and that man was the voice of God and stuff, right? It's an easy slip. That's why I think he goes like back and forth.
Well, and the word lifted comes back a second time, and it says, "When I was lifted up by someone's hand and delivered from the corner." I don't know where in the corner, but here we are. And if my enemies had got me in, but in all my salvation, I still felt imprisoned inside that holding cell that is myself. Another great line. But yeah, I think kind of like you find yourself sort of slipping, falling back into that mentality that you might not want to be in. You're being lifted back up.
Well, I always wondered too, like when he's looking at his wrist and then being in the bathtub, like was he like attempting suicide? Like,
That's a good catch. Yeah,
I
I wonder. Yeah,
and then he's being saved by someone. If you take that from a literal point of view,
Right.
but maybe no. I see the connection there because later he says, "I looked in the mirror and someone new was there."
yeah.
Looking back at it. So maybe someone who's seen the error in his way, or maybe has seen the importance of life. If I'm gonna go the suicide thing, because I've heard of that where folks they go for it and then they wise up right at the end. They're like, well, no, that's not what I want. It's not a good thing, and they turn around and don't do it.
And their life are a little bit changed and they're a new person. Maybe.
Are there any yoga positions that are like holding cell in nature?
Holding cell in nature.
Yeah, like very much like a I don't know, bars. Like if you stand straight, like all four things, like very twistery. Like if you stand.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you're holding yourself in like 8 angle pose where your arm is like holding both of your legs, so you're like entangled with yourself, so you're like in your own prison. Or like when you're on your hands, I forget what this one's called, but your arms are around you and you're like squeezing them in, and you're just like in a prison of your own making. Yeah.
Oh, I like that.
I like that.
There's a lot of poses like that. There's a lot of pretzel poses that you feel like you just made yourself a little prison. But it's a great place to reflect in prison and then also in these poses.
Okay, I'm gonna take that.
So you're I imagine Phil saying that you're seeing this narrator is now a patient prisoner now. They've tried to find a way out. They're unable to. Now he's staring at the sun, waiting for it to explode because a day is going to come. But you don't know when it will come.
Going back to 3 songs ago.
Yeah, we're naming that song again, right?
Right. Yep.
And then we will finally know the way out of here.
Finally gonna figure it out. And I'll throw away this wrinkled map and my chart of stars and compass cracked, and I'll climb that tree all wet with sap. I love when it's the rhyming like this to avoid the hunger beasts below.
And then cut out my lover's tongue and sing.
Sing. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna sing it. Yeah, I'm gonna sing.
Always singing.
And it's like we don't have to wonder again about how the song or story ends, about how the song or story will end. Like, you know, I don't know. Sometimes I'm like, was he just also having writer's block on how to finish this song? And he was just kind of like, is that what this song's about? Like, I don't have to figure it out. Just end.
Yeah, I think we just end that one because I think we've kind of encapsulated what this one is.
Confusing.
It's confusing. It's confusing. Yeah. Thank you, Connor, for making me a confusing song where I feel like I fell off and I'm no longer balanced. And I did it in front of everybody, and now I'm just embarrassed.
Well,
Thanks.
there you go. There's your balance beam. But surely you know what the next song is about, Laura Laurent.
You know what? I'm gonna be very presumptuous and say it's probably about a girl named Laura.
Laura Laurent.
Laura Laurent. Yeah.
Laurent or Laurent?
What would you say, Laurent? Laurent?
I like Laurent, but I could be wrong.
No, I'll go with yours. I like that better.
Yeah, I think yours better.
How do we feel about Laura?
I really like this song. I think this is
not one of my favorites.
No, it's a good. It's a nice penultimate song to the album. I'll say that.
There it is. There it is. The penultimate song.
I love that first line. Laura, are you still living there in your estate of sorrows?
Oh, God, such an emo line.
We love the sad girls, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
sad
like
boys like sad girls, I guess, in Connor's world.
Because it's not like a small house.
No,
it's an estate
of
sorrow. This is a large compound of sorrow that where she finds herself. It's so big. It's so unnecessarily over the top, but I'm here for it, and I'm okay with it.
It's so big. That's why she used to leave it occasionally, but now she doesn't even bother, right?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe it was a small house of sorrow, but it just got bigger and bigger into the next state.
Oh, I like that. I can go with it. So it was the 7-gabled house of sorrow became the estate of sorrow. I like that.
She stopped going. Didn't go through the greenery in the park past the statues. Their eyes were following her for her hated addiction. Their beauty carved out of absolutes that you could never claim or even envision. Like, geez, poor Laura.
Poor Laura. Well, even then he's like, Laura, you were the saddest song in the shape of a woman.
Oh, I love that line too.
It's so great. But I thought you were beautiful, but I wept with your movements. How clever is he? He's already basically called her the saddest song, and the songs there's movements in songs, like classical music. I'm like, it's one of those lines where I'm like, oh, Connor, you're so clever. But it is I don't know. I don't know. I'd be thrilled if someone named a song after me and then told me I was the saddest song in the shape of a woman. I don't know how I'd feel about that.
If you were the saddest song in the shape of a woman, you would know it and you'd be okay with it. Like,
note to self: rewrite that song I was writing about Phil. Jeez.
Yeah.
Wow.
Make sure you to change my name. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think it is another song where the crux of it, the main point of it, is at the end.
Yeah.
Like the very end, where he's like, but you should never be embarrassed by your trouble with living, because it's the ones with the sorest throats, Laura, who have done the most singing.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, again, that's the other theme of like, through all this pain, misery, there's growth.
Mm-hmm.
There's art, right?
There's art. Yeah.
Also, the counter of like being in a troubled life and being sad, like you don't know true like the idea of you don't know true happiness if you've never felt sadness. It's like you shouldn't be embarrassed by like how sad you've been, because like you've probably seen the most happiness as well, and you know both extremes.
Mm-hmm.
it's I like also that he is saying how much she's like the saddest song and things, but then he does say, we're in high demand, Laura, us people who suffer. He's like he's not like casting like, oh, you're really sad, but actually I'm pretty sad too. And then he gets, as you were saying, you're both saying, like now he gets to the end where he's like, we still just gotta like not be embarrassed about it by our trouble and just live and sing and have the sorest throats. And which I really love about this song, it's actually my favorite part of it, is he then tells everybody to join in, and we have a drunken choir at the end.
That's exactly what it is. I mean, yeah, and it just like he even says it at the end, like that was really great, guys. I mean, thanks for all coming in here. Let's have this kind of crazy drunken moment where we're all like, yeah, you know what? Let's appreciate and enjoy that we've had misery in our lives because I think that's made us better.
I love it. And apparently I was reading there were like two bars, Duffy's and O'Rourke's, I guess.
Okay.
That potentially could have been where they just grabbed a bunch of drunk people and recorded this part from. So it's like a very like it's like a very
That's
like
funny.
community moment for this album. I have a question for you at this point. Would you end the album on this? Do you need the next song? Based on that arc we just went and coming back to that point of like the way to get through this pain.
I
Let's
think it
not shit
wouldn't be Connor.
ourselves.
Yeah. It's too clean. we have to move on to the next track, which is
Let's not shit ourselves. I'm gonna, Jeff. I'm gonna say if I was a producer of this album, would end it with the last song.
You would have. Okay.
I would have ended it right there because I feel like that's where it is. But I'm not Connor, and I didn't produce this album, so we're gonna go on to the next one.
So you don't. So it's let's not shit ourselves. Parentheses to love and to be loved.
Which is the point of the. It's we've said it like 3 times now. He's just trying to be loved, guys. That's just really what it comes down to. Yeah. Personally, I would cut it at the end of the last song and just go out on a strong 12, and then not bring in a 10-minute song at the end.
Yeah, but Phil, you would get rid of the opening of "Can I get a goddamn Tiffany roll?"
I swear to God. No, but see, that's the thing is, I like this song, but
Yeah.
I do think, like the album wise, it would make sense to have that Laurent be the end of it. Because then we get into this and we're like, okay, look, we ended on kind of like a communal, everybody together, like we'll be fine, we're gonna be fine. And then we're gonna go into the brutal honesty that is the next song. Let's just completely honest here. Just let's not shit ourselves. That's really what it's come down to. And then spends the next 9 minutes yelling at me. And everything else that there is that he feels like yelling at. Because it's a song that just builds where he keeps finding more things to be mad about, and it gets louder and louder and louder, and then you get to the end where it's quiet for 2 minutes.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, you're right. You're coming in pretty hostile. Like, here we go. Can I get a goddamn Tiffany roll to start this goddamn song tonight? Here's a goddamn song for you goddamn people. Like
I was like, okay, dude, I get.
End it that way when you're like him, It's like goes back and forth, and he's like, well, let me just end it on how I like really feel. Like I know that I should feel some of these other ways that kind of pop up through some of the songs, but like in reality, let's not shit ourselves. Like this is how I feel.
No, I really like. I know it's long and there's so much, but like there's such an energy to this song. Like this is the explanation point on the album. It's not an album that goes out a whimper. It's like, yeah.
No, you're gonna make sure he's gonna make sure he is upset about something. I personally, this is where again the anti-Bush stuff, or because he talks about the cowboy president in this, and it's just more about just being annoyed about the things in life, like kind of like the mundane things, but also like just the things in general. Because I always go back to ABC, NBC, CBS, bullshit. They give us fact or fiction, I guess, an even split. So sometimes there is. Each new act of war is tonight's entertainment. Oh, that's terrible. Because I remember that time frame in life where it was about the Afghan War and the Iraq War, then became the Afghanistan War, and I was like, wow, this new act of war is tonight's entertainment. That's terrible, and you kind of get consumed by it because you didn't know what to believe at that point because they were all it was more they were more interested in getting the story out first rather than right, which is very different things.
Well, yeah, and then then he gets really like, well, that's kind of like later work. I feel like there's a part where he hits his lowest moment in this song. Is right after that verse, because he keeps like getting so mad at what he's seeing on this war entertainment channel. Like, yes, we all fit into your slogan on that fast food marquee: red-blooded, white skin, and oh, the blues. I got the blues. That's me. Like he's just, and then he has kind of a fall. But like, before we get down to that, I just want to like, there's a couple of lines in here again that I'm just like, his writing is just, it's just very Connor, and I love it. When in the first verse, when he's like, I've seen a child, he's caught in the sad trap of gravity. He falls from the lowest branch of the apple tree and lands in the grass and weeps for his dignity. Next time I won't aim so high. Like, so a kid fell out of a tree is what he's saying, but like the sad trap of gravity, I like, oh, pump it into my veins, please. That kind of writing.
And next time he won't aim so high. It's like,
yeah,
maybe he's just talking about how like, like people are like downtrodden and they're just like, this is where I am.
All it takes is get hurt once.
I watch these news channels. This is my regular life, like red, white, and blue. Like, I got the blues, but like, do you really got the blues? No, like, we've got the blues. They can't let people know.
Yeah, it's like the kid is like, next time you won't aim so high. Yeah, next time you'll rely. It's like, oh, once you get hurt once, that's I'm done trying.
Except for Connor.
Yeah.
Who's like, no, I'll get hurt like 17 more times to keep on trying. I mean, well, but that's again with the inner turmoil with himself, because I feel like he sees a connection with that kid. Because I like personally, I hate that line because I feel so sad for that kid, and it's not, but it's because it's just that good at writing.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, don't do that. So you gotta aim. Do the opposite. Aim higher. You didn't, and that's the dad in me coming out.
Well, I mean, no, for sure. But then also, like, you get another take, like the mom who takes out loans, sends her kids to college, and it's just people on a shopping list that she's shopping for. Like, there's no, like, it's all just, she's doing it all for these people, but there's no family there, it doesn't feel like.
Right, because they've all left, and so
they left,
she's now just shopping for them, like care packages or whatnot. And I feel like that is he's very good at bringing in very small things to create a big feeling. And I feel like I feel the emptiness of that line where you've been, because it's the words he used. He's economical with his words, because he says is reduced to names on a shopping list. Like, they're not even people anymore. They're just things on a shopping list.
And then from that, he turns it on himself, right? And he's talking about this person. And then it's like, I've learned to retreat the first sign of danger. An ambition I found can only lead to failure. I do not read the reviews. No, I'm not singing for you. Which is really interesting because he's like, ambition has led me to failure. But when I think he's like reviews, he's talking about like music reviewers, right? And he's like, I'm not even doing this for you. So he's very conflicted about at this point.
It's the inner turmoil throughout. He's always conflicted. Yeah, it's the ebb and flow of everything. I think there was something toward the end. Yeah, and how he gets, there's a lot in here.
Yeah.
A lot of words.
Very long
of words. Long song. But at the end, I do think there's a bit of hope at the end. So we do get that kind of moment. It's just, we have to get yelled at for a long time and then get to it. So how grateful I was then to be part of the mystery, to love and to be loved. Let's just hope that's enough.
Still not sure, but at least there might be a little hope.
Yeah.
I'm gonna dip my toe in the hope, and maybe we'll work out.
I'm curious, as a father, what you thought about the verse with the dad at the hospital with him. Because I took that as like he kind of has a breakdown about the blues and then maybe he tries to hurt himself.
Yeah, it just because you don't spend a lot of time with the dad there. It's
Yeah,
just he kind of wakes up and it's there. So I feel like there is like Chris, you talked about catching the rye earlier, and like so maybe there's that kind of
yeah.
component of it where there was Connor's. I don't think he's having a mental breakdown, but it seems like he could, and then the dad's there to kind of watch over him, much like
Well,
I.
he's
It's
he.
good.
Oh no, I was gonna say he whispers, "So sorry, so selfish." Like I feel like that to me is like maybe he did something, or maybe
Yeah,
he feels bad that he ended up in this situation, and the dad gives him this very loving line of like, "Child, I love you regardless, and there's nothing you could do that would ever change this. I'm not angry. It happens, but just don't do it again."
just don't do it again. Yeah, and I think that's kind of what it is. That it is a good line. That's a child. I love you regardless, because that's how it is. My stupid kids that I love very much, and it's just really it's a thankless job. It is a completely thankless job. But yet, when you have those great moments though, where you see something great happen, I don't know. There's moments that make up for it. It really is. There is. But yeah, I like to poke about my stupid kids. I love them. If you guys listen to the show, which you won't, but if you did, love you guys.
10 years from now.
Mhm.
Exactly. Kind of like, oh, what's this Bright Eyes? He sounds
Yeah,
That
sad.
is cool.
I'm still waiting for like when my son's friends are like, "Oh, I found this show," and they're gonna be like, "Oh, wait, is that your dad?" And I'll be like, "Yeah, that's me, motherfucker, that's me."
I like how you talk to your son's friends in this scenario.
Let's not shit ourselves. I'm a very straightforward guy with the word motherfucker.
There it is.
Exactly who I am.
Well, that completes the record. Um, Phil, I know you have a lot of questions you want to ask us. Can I ask Crystal one question that we don't normally ask?
Absolutely, you can.
What's the best song to flow to on this album?
To flow to, huh? I mean, I feel like the most like melodic one. I don't know. I would like to put I like how you reference like Lover I Don't Have to Love as being trip hoppy. I love doing a trip hop flow, so like it could maybe scoot in there.
Yeah,
Or just like he screams or like not screams, but like he like cry belts out
yeah,
in a lot of these songs. So there's a lot of songs that can't really go into a yoga.
exactly. Yeah,
They
it's
would
tough.
just be jarring.
We're trying to be zen here, and I got this guy scream crying over here.
Yeah. I remember one time, like I was playing, like this is like stuck in my memory where I was like playing Bright Eyes in my room, and my mom was like, "What happened to your brother?" She thought like my brother was like drunk downstairs yelling, like crying.
That's amazing.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
All right, Phil, you got some
I
other
do.
questions?
I do have other questions for you. Okay, so for this segment of the show, I'm going to ask you a series of questions. I want to know, Jeff, I'll start with you.
Hmm?
What do you think is the best song on the album? The best.
I went back and forth, but ultimately, I got to go with "Love Right On the Love." That's a song I feel like I can put on any mix for anybody. It just hits it all, hits all the
It's the sexy dirtiness of it all. I get
yeah.
it. No, I
It's
get it.
it's
I get it.
like it's miserable people being sexy. It's good stuff.
Crystal, what about you? What do you think is the best song on the album?
Nothing gets crossed out. For me, that just like encompasses like how I felt as a teenager, and not only like the sad stuff, but like some of the brightness too. So definitely nothing gets crossed out.
I
What
love
about
it.
you?
That's a good pick. I'm gonna go with you. Don't know when.
Ooh,
I think that is the best song on the album. Mostly 'cause I just love how it builds to something huge, and I feel like I also love that it's like in the middle of the album, so it's kind of like this. It's almost like like the sleeper song, Jeff. But I think it's just that good.
yeah.
It's actually
I
the
think
best
you
song
just
on the album.
really love that I sold my soul for a bag of gold,
I
which
just
one,
I love it.
whatever. Whatever.
I love it. I'm here for it. I'm all in.
Yeah.
Jeff, what is the skip of the album? What song are we skipping?
Um,
Skip this and go to the next one.
I got a couple here, but I'm probably gonna save from a balance beam today.
Balance beam. Yeah, that's a good call. Good call. Crystal, what about you? What is the song you're gonna skip?
Now that we've like worked through the big picture, I would say it can't be that one just because it so much relates to the other. But I would say that's the one I normally do skip.
Big picture.
Yeah.
I would like to piggyback on that. I agree. I actually was like same thing. I was like going into this. I'm like, I don't want to. It's. I think it's like musically the weakest song on the album, and it's weird that it's the first song.
Yes.
Usually that rarely happens. The first song is the skippable one. But but thematically, you're correct. Like it is important too. So
it's important, but I'm skipping that shit. I'm going right to the next song. It's just I'm going right to song 2. Every time I'm like, nope, and I go right on the song 2 because it's like, move right on. That's it. Moving right on. All right, Jeff. I think the hardest question, I always say it because I think it's true. What do you think is the sleeper song on the album?
well, like what happens a lot on this podcast, I have an idea for a sleeper song, and then somebody picks it as their best song. And my 2 choices for sleeper songs were both selected as best songs on the album. So
So which one are you gonna? It's always you. It's always you who gets this. So which one of the 2 are you gonna pick?
Well, I'm gonna pick a different sleeper song.
Go for it.
Yeah, I'm gonna put false advertising.
There you go. All right.
I want the waltz. I feel like people are sleeping on the waltz.
It is always you too. It's always you, the one who ends up saying that. Crystal, what do you think is the?
I was literally gonna say that one, but I also am like, which songs are sleeper songs? So I feel like it's such a popular album. So
yeah, it's.
So what do you think?
It's sleeper song because it's my second favorite. So
which one?
False advertising.
False advertising. Yeah, okay. I'm going to disagree. I'm going to say Waste of Paint is the sleeper song on the album. It's a great song. I think it's a great song. It's much more deep you think than you think. That's what I think.
One of my faves too.
Yes.
Yeah, that's everything. Crystal, I thank you again so much for coming to the diner with us. I hope you enjoyed your meal. Sorry about all the tears that went into all of our breakfast.
Our coffee is salty.
I know. It's the oat milk. They put too much salt in it, I guess. Would you like to tell us about your yoga enterprise?
Hell yeah. So I am Health Goth Yoga. I teach yoga to emo. I've done Bright Eyes flows before. I've done Saddle Creek Records flows before. But I also do goth and punk and sometimes metal, a little bit of everything. And I do it virtually and I do it in Boston. I came to LA. I've been to Philly, New Orleans, and I do yoga retreats everywhere. I just want to bring yoga to people that are like me and just want to practice yoga to music that's not annoying. Or maybe for other people it might be, but for me,
yeah.
I just want to listen to various types of alternative music while practicing instead of listening to whatever the new techno is or the new rap or whatever. So that's what I do. So I teach yoga to these alternative songs, playlists, virtually, in person, at yoga retreats. I've got, what's my next one? Costa Rica in February. Sedona in April. And
2024, people.
2024. Yes. Oh yeah. Who knows them? Yeah. 2024. And then Bali in August.
That's really wild. That's so wild.
That's crazy.
Bali. Yeah. There's a punk bar in Bali that has all pop punk. They got emo night. I'm so stoked. They are owned by the same people that own a skate park. And I'm just stoked. And it's 10 minutes away from where we're staying at this retreat center that's epic.
Wow. I never thought about Balimos, but they're there.
Indonesia has a lot of different punk and metal scenes. That's awesome. So I'm stoked. Yeah.
I am not just a podcaster, I'm also a customer. I went on the retreat to Joshua Tree this year. It was so much fun. And Crystal played amazing music the entire time during our yoga sessions. Highly recommend. Where can people find out how to take your classes?
Yeah. healthgothyoga.com. Follow me at Yoga with Crystal Rose on Instagram. And those are where you'll find me.
Excellent. Phil, anything else you
Yeah.
want to say?
Yes, there is things you can follow with on Instagram. You can also follow us on TikTok. You can follow us on the Facebook. You can follow us on Threads, but don't do much with it. So do that.
Nor does anyone.
Nor is really anyone. So just it's there. If you want to follow something, go ahead. You can do it. We might say hi. But we do have the Instagram, Facebook, and the TikTok now. I want to say special thanks to our executive producer, my wife, for listening to the album with me and only telling me which song she didn't like most of the time. Yeah, which I thought was kind of funny. And one of the songs, I forget now, she said reminded her of the band She Wants Revenge. Now I don't remember which one it was.
Oh,
That
interesting.
was probably Lover I Don't Have to Love.
Yeah, it has to be, right?
When I think of sexy and dark, that's a song. Like I also think of She Wants Revenge.
I just looked at my notes and I think, yeah, I wrote it down on that one. You're right. So that's it. So that's how I remind her of She Wants Revenge. So thanks, Megan, for that one. I think I got everything. I cover everything. Oh, no, I didn't. Jeff, tell me, how easy is it to have a podcast?
Well, for podcasting for Spotify or Spotify for podcasting, that's what it is. Just go there. Very easy to use. You can do a podcast on anything. If you want to do a She Wants Revenge podcast that just ends at every episode with like, I want to tear you apart. You could do that. You can do that. And you can put the songs right on your podcast. So everyone make a podcast.
I might try.
I can't
do it.
I would love the way I would love that show. I think I would love that show.
The She Wants Revenge podcast?
Yeah, the She Wants Revenge podcast. Yeah, I think I would love that show.
Yeah. Well, Phil, I just one last thing to say.
Yeah, what's that?
Can I get a goddamn Tiffany roll to end this goddamn podcast?